last couple of days, and that is just a tropical storm. We don't want anyone to say just a tropical storm because this storm poses such a significant threat to so many people. And a big part of the reason why is the fact that it's not going to be moving very quickly at all. Now, we got an advisory about an hour ago. This is an intermediate advisory. It is a 65-mile-per-hour tropical storm, so it's getting closer to becoming a hurricane. Very well could become a hurricane before it moves in. Now moving west-northwest at 4 miles per hour. And when we look at the forecast track, we see something very similar to what we saw yesterday. Very slow motion to the north. And in fact, it's possible that it drifts a little more to the west before it actually comes on shore. So this is going to be a long duration event in which we get hour after hour after hour of the effects. Very heavy rain, tropical downpours just going on and on and on and on, along with the storm surge over several high tide cycles and some very gusty wind as well. Now, as you look at the satellite picture, what we're seeing here is a big blow up of convection. It's a lot more robust as compared to what we were looking at yesterday. We're still seeing that northerly shear, northerly winds dropping down into the circulation, and that's why the thunderstorms have not been able to wrap all around that center, but they're trying to do that now. You can see them sort of wrapping into this center, which is sitting just offshore right in there. So it's becoming a little bit more organized hour after hour, and as some of that weather is now beginning to touch the coast of Louisiana, look at this. Winds gusting to 62 miles per hour in Port Fourchon. So we're starting to get those tropical storm forest conditions now in the southeasternmost part of Louisiana. That wind will continue to spread into the coast and up into New Orleans overnight tonight. And power outages are likely across much of southern Louisiana as well as into southwestern Mississippi. And of course, as you've got all that wind that is piling up the water already, we've got a water level rise of about 3 feet along Lake Pontchartrain. So there is now a storm surge warning in effect for parts of Lake Pontchartrain that does not include the leveed areas, but it's for other areas, also extends farther east into parts of Mississippi. So that's a change as compared to yesterday. We're looking now for a 3 to 6 foot surge in these areas going through a couple of days, really. Again, it's going to be over several high tide cycles because the storm is going to be so slow to move in. But the thing that's got us the most concerned about the storm is the potential for life-threatening flash flooding. And you see this area of heavy rain here. You're talking about an enormous area of double-digit rainfall, maybe as much as 12 to 18 inches southern parts of Louisiana, and it might be a lot more than that in some spots. So this is the flash flood outlook for tomorrow going into Sunday morning, and these are the areas where it is very likely that we are going to see flash flooding. So that is from New Orleans on westward into Baton Rouge, towards Lafayette, Morgan City as well. In all of these areas, you've already got saturated ground. You've got rain starting to move in now. It's going to continue to come in hour after hour after hour, probably getting a lot more steady during the afternoon tomorrow and then continuing right into the evening. And so that's when we're going to see the real risk for flash flooding. But even beyond that, as the storm lifts up and into Mississippi, we're going to continue to see a flash flood threat. Also looking at a tornado threat as well. We've got a 4 out of 10 on the Torcon for tonight and a 4 out of 10 on the Torcon for tomorrow. I want to very quickly show you one of the model forecasts here. This is the NAM model. It's a short-term model, and it gives you a sense of the flavor of this storm, and it's doing a pretty good job of representing the storm right now. So we see that sort of semicircle on the south side, then it really starts to come into those areas into tomorrow afternoon, continues right through the evening, doesn't move right into the evening, stays in the same place, just dumping and dumping and dumping, and that's where we're talking about that potential for life-threatening flash flooding. So, Jennifer, this is a really serious situation, and again, we do not want people to say just a tropical storm.
All right, thanks so much, Carl. Well, we want to tell you what we know right now from Tropical Storm Barry as it closes into the central Gulf Coast. The Mississippi Governor, Phil Bryant, has declared a state of emergency for areas affected by this tropical storm. 3.6 million people are under tropical alerts. New Orleans officials say stay inside and shelter in place tonight. Frontier, JetBlue, and Southwest Airlines have canceled all flights in and out of New Orleans for tomorrow. We want to take you right back out to New Orleans, and that is where we find our own Paul Goodloe. And Paul, for those folks that are just now joining us, you've been there throughout the day. So how's the weather looking? How was it earlier today, and what are you seeing right now?
Well, today and even yesterday, Jen, the wind has been kicked up the last 24 hours or so. But today, the sun, which you saw part of yesterday, is gone. We saw a lot more cloud cover and a few showers. Now we're seeing a little bit more light to persistent light rain coming on through here. And you mentioned the Southwest and JetBlue canceling their flights tomorrow. There was also a convention canceled today. In fact, I guess they canceled it last night. The sorority Delta Sigma Theta, they had over 16,000 registered participants. Then you add in their family and friends, so probably 20+ thousand people in town for that conference. They wrapped it up early today. It's supposed to go through Sunday. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people are kind of disappointed that they can't get out tomorrow on some of those flights. Let's kind of share what's going on here. Again, as they prepare, I want to bring you guys closer. And you just noticed this before from a vantage point. You look down here to this electrical substation. They too have some pretty high walls. They put some equipment, some trucks behind those walls. This added protection past the levee system and the flood walls they have that protects this area from the waters from the Mississippi. That's a big concern. As you kind of tilt back up across the aquarium, and we're going to kind of pan over to the left a little bit. And if you're watching us last night, we were on the west bank of the river by the Algiers neighborhood, and much of that area typically should be dry this time of the year. Kind of a park area, but just the tops of the levees have a couple of feet of dry ground on them. But this river is a lot higher than it should be for this time of the year. We're talking about the middle of July, and that is a risk for this tropical storm coming on through here. I think the current level is closing in on about 17 feet right now. And let's talk about this. And I want to bring in Jeff Bracial. He's a hydrologist with the Lower Mississippi River Forecast Center. Thanks for joining us this evening, Jeff. And let's talk about this. Closing in on 17 feet, the level of the Mississippi. This is kind of unprecedented, not only for this time of the year, but also to have this level of the river this high, as well as a tropical storm approach.
Yeah, you're right, Paul. It's a very unique situation. We typically never have the river at these levels when we have tropical weather approaching the Louisiana area. Typically, when we have tropical systems come in, our river is much lower. In fact, in July, typically we were supposed to be around 6 to 8 feet as far as stage readings go at the New Orleans gauge for this time of year. So we're significantly higher than we typically are for the time of year. And unfortunately, that's from all the heavy rain that we've had over the winter and spring, and we still have not able to, or we're not able to get the river to come down. But we do have falling conditions on the upper part of the river that hopefully in the next few weeks we'll be able to take advantage of. But certainly this is a very unique situation.
And the forecast, even just a couple of days ago, was for this forecasted crest to be 20 feet, which is the top of the levee. Talk about what went into lowering that forecast to just 19 feet now.
Well, we were a little bit fortunate that the system just didn't develop quite as quickly as we were anticipating to begin with, and then the slow movement often and the little bit of disorganization as far as what we were seeing with the system, moving a little bit further to the south of the mouth of the river than what we were anticipating as well. So those combination of things really played a role in not getting quite as high of surge effects on the lower part of the Mississippi River.
And we talked to the Army Corps of Engineers, and they were saying they are confident that the levee system here will hold out. They're not concerned at all. Do you kind of share those same feelings about the approach of Barry and the level of the Mississippi?
Well, certainly they're the experts on the levee systems and know that much better than we do, but we're certainly thinking that will not exceed that 19-foot level. We've actually had a little bit of a fall here over the last few hours on the New Orleans gauge. We're evaluating the actual forecast this evening and stuff, and there may be an opportunity to actually come down a little bit lower than the 19 feet that we have currently out now.
Well, that's some good news for sure. I know river forecasting is a very difficult thing to do. And let's talk about the watershed here, because the water that's rolling through here, it could have been rolling past Minneapolis or even past Omaha, maybe like a month or so. What's the time frame of water in the far upper reaches of the watershed finally passing through New Orleans.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Paul. It can take almost a month and a half for water or rainfall that falls in the Minneapolis area to make its way down into the New Orleans area. And conversely, if the western parts of Pennsylvania for the Ohio River, it can also take about 45 days. And then you get up into Montana on the Missouri River, and also that takes about 45 days. So the water that you're seeing there could have been in those locations a month and a half ago.
Yeah, we know we had some massive flooding there this winter and this spring. So last question is, the flooding we're still seeing up there, is that also going to kind of go into how quickly the Mississippi here in New Orleans starts to get back in more normal stage that it should be this time of the year?
Yeah, it should. And like I said, we were kind of looking, we've had some pretty good falls on the lower part of the Ohio River, over 10 feet where the Ohio and the Mississippi have come together. So we're hoping that those falls will start to approach our New Orleans and Baton Rouge area over the next probably week to week and a half. The only thing that is a little concerning, though, is we'll have to see how much rainfall we get in the upper parts of the Ohio Valley and the Mississippi Valley as Barry makes its way northward. So hopefully the rainfall amounts will be a little considerably lighter than what we have in Louisiana, and hopefully that won't allow us to be able to turn the river down on the lower part of the Mississippi.
All right, because Barry will be spreading rain that way as well. Great information. That is Jeff Gratial, hydrologist with the Lower Mississippi River Forecast Center. Thanks for giving us that time this evening. And things that he just pointed out, again, the rain, we're definitely concerned here in New Orleans for the below sea level factor, but also that continues to bring more rain across the entire watershed, and that still plays into the Mississippi going through here. So we're talking about as the rain goes into northern Louisiana to Arkansas, into Tennessee, into the Ohio Valley, it's still going to have impacts potentially as it finally winds its way out here past New Orleans and into the Gulf of Mexico. But definitely the Gulf is something we're watching right now. Tropical Storm Barry continues to turn and continues to get a little bit better looking organized in terms of the rain field. We'll have more coming up as Tracking Barry continues.
Stouffer's lasagna with meat and sauce has 2 times the beef of the leading meat sauce lasagna. That's double the tender ground beef baked into every cheesy, mouth-watering bite. When it comes to irresistible taste, more is always more. Stouffer's.
Let's see. Aleve is proven better on pain than Tylenol Extra Strength and lasts longer with fewer pills. So why am I still thinking about this? I'll take Aleve.
Aleve, proven better on pain.
You can't fake the goodness of real strawberries, the crunch of real almonds, how chocolatey chunks taste in cold milk. We keep it real, because you can't fake delicious. Special K.
With Domino's Carry-Out Insurance, we'll remake your order for free if anything happens to it on the way home, even if it's not your fault, like if it's whoever that guy's chasing's fault. Or if it's man's best friend's fault. Or, even if it is, ultimately, your fault. Carry out Domino's large 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 each. With Domino's Carry-Out Insurance, just bring it back and we'll remake it for free.
Not even our competitor's best battery can match the power of Energizer, because Energizer Ultimate Lithium is the longest-lasting AA battery in the world. Energizer, backed by science, matched by no one.
Anna, did you make 2 identical purchases of $104 at Cut & Claw?
Capital One knows life doesn't update you about your credit card. So meet Eno, the Capital One assistant that catches things that might look wrong and helps you fix them. Another way Capital One is watching out for your money when you're not. What's in your wallet?
So now, Dish has over 80,000 on-demand movies and shows. 80,000. Why? I mean, it would take you years to get through 80,000. Thing is, it's not about 80,000. It's about one. That one movie you saw that one time on a first date with that one girl. That's why.
Dish. Tuned in to you.
Owe the IRS back taxes? Who can you count on? Jackson Hewitt. With 35 years of trusted tax experience, Count on us to take immediate action to help. You'll get a free consultation, plus $100 back if you don't like the options we present. That's right, $100 back. You can relax and live your life. We'll work directly with the IRS so you don't have to. Call or visit jacksonhewitt.com for your free consultation today.
Thank you so much.
New purple, eh, Deb?
He's always wanted to try one.
Well, they have a 100-night trial, so...
Everyone wants to sleep better, and can. Purple makes it easy with free shipping and our 100-night trial. For a limited time, choose a free Purple product with mattress purchase at purple.com/TV.
This is epic!
You're watching America's most trusted TV news network.
We've got a severe weather threat. We are live on the ground. Right now, it's coming down.
The Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 81 degrees under fair skies. Tonight, mostly clear, low 72. Winds northwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Saturday, mainly sunny, high 90. Winds west-northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Saturday night, a mostly clear sky, low 75. Winds west-southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
No one should take this storm lightly, and I keep using this as a benchmark. You just go back to 2016 when we didn't have a named storm. We didn't have all of the advance warning that we've had today, and we had 56 out of 64 parishes declared a major federal disaster because of those floods. Nobody should take this storm lightly just because it's supposed to be a Category 1 when it makes landfall. The real danger in this storm was never about the wind anyway. It's always been about the rain, and that remains a very significant threat.
And that's always one of the biggest threats to any landfalling tropical system. It's the rain, the flooding, the inland freshwater flooding. Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards there reminding people that this area can be overwhelmed, not just New Orleans, but much of Louisiana can be overwhelmed by heavy rain. They had an incident in 2016. And I tell you what, it's almost like the tropical disturbance that was not named. It walked like a duck and talked like a duck, but it was not named, but it still caused similar situations like a tropical storm or hurricane would in terms of the amount and the intensity of rain across the region. Here in New Orleans, we're starting to see some kind of light rain being persistent the last 2 hours or so, and looking at the radar, starting to fill in on that east side, almost coming into the northeast side of the circulation of Barry. That means that's going to put New Orleans kind of into this rain a little earlier than we were thinking, and that's a bad thing. Having rain in this city, heavy rain as well, is not a good mix for this region, so that's a big concern. But this storm is not just about New Orleans. It's also about areas to the east of here, and even north and even west as well. I'm going to bring in my colleague Kelly O'Hara, who is in Macomb, Mississippi, and a lot of people, when they think about evacuating or under duress, they also have to think about their family members, and for many, Kelly, that also involves family members that run on all fours.
Yeah, we just spoke to, hey, Paul, good evening. We just spoke to an investigator with the Sheriff's Department here. He was telling us that today they were going door to door in some of their lower lying areas here in Pike County, knocking on folks' doors saying, hey, do me a favor. If you can leave, leave. We want to get you out of here. That's because they're getting 10 to 20 inches of rain within the storm. That means this curb right here, it is bigger than this curb. That is going to be some intense rainfall that is going to be coming down. They are expecting flash floods in this area here in the city of Macomb. Very concerning. So concerning, the state of Mississippi sent in swiftwater rescue teams. These gentlemen here, there's nearly a dozen of them. They are all prepared, ready to be dispatched anywhere in this county. That's because flooding can be an issue. In addition, think about all the rain that we had this spring. I'm from up in New England, and it just wouldn't stop, and that's much the way it was all over the country. This rain just wouldn't let up. So this ground now is so saturated, and then we're going to add nearly 2 feet of rain in this area. That's like adding insult to injury. You know, the folks here in the state of Mississippi, it's like punch after punch. They've been getting tornadoes, rains, and now this tropical storm is going to approach that Gulf Coast, and they're really concerned not only about the storm surge, of course, at the coast, but here in the inland areas, of course, they're concerned about flooding, not just here, but north as well, where some counties up there are under immense flooding, and there's some just real concern. So where we are here in Macomb and southwest Mississippi, that is the big concern, the flash floods, the flooding, and this rain that is just not going to let up. And it is going to be so intense as that rain falls with this storm, as it just reaches the shore and just pushes, of course, on up. So lots of concerns. Another concern, which I didn't even think about, was they're actually getting, Jennifer, a lot of the animals out tonight at the animal shelter. That's because sometimes people abandon their pets. So they're going to fly out 50 puppies and dogs up to New Jersey to try to get them adopted. So a lot of preparation right now in Macomb, Mississippi, underway to make sure not only folks are safe, but their animals are safe as well.
That is
Jennifer?
so good to hear, because again, we often sometimes forget about the four-legged friends. All right, thank you so much, Kelly. Meanwhile, this morning, the New Orleans mayor, LaToya Cantrell, announced the city has closed the surge barrier, the Seabrook sector gate, and all the floodgates along the Mississippi River and Industrial Canal ahead of Tropical Storm Barry. This video shows the big Lake Pontchartrain floodgate being closed. And again, the floodgates is kind of part of the levee system that surrounds the city of New Orleans, with the big lake to the north of the city, and then the Mississippi River also surrounding the city on other sides. New Orleans does sit below sea level, and that is a concern because we have the bodies of water around it, but we also have a tremendous amount of rain that's expected to come in. It's not just going to be in New Orleans, but also over to Baton Rouge and even up here into Macomb, Mississippi, where Kelly is. We're going to see a good chance for that heavy rain to produce some flash flooding. This whole area, well away from the coast, is underneath a flash flood watch, and that does go all the way up into central Mississippi as we expect that moisture to go up. Again, the Mississippi River flows just south of New Orleans, farther to the north, and many locations along the river have been at major or moderate flood stage right now. Well, we're going to add a lot of water on top of that, and that could cause all kinds of problems. This is the projected amount of water that we could see here in Baton Rouge down to Morgan City, maybe up to 2 feet of rain. Again, this moisture is going to just continue to move northward and could cause all kinds of problems throughout the weekend. Now, when we come back, we're going to continue our live team coverage of Tropical Storm Barry as we...
Thanks for the ride along, Captain. I've never been in one of these before, even though Geico is... Oh, here we go. Here we go.
You got cut off there. What were you saying? Oh, no. Maybe the Geico's been proudly serving the military for over 75 years? Is that what you wanted to say? Mm-hmm. I have to say, you seem a lot chattier on TV.
Geico, proudly serving the military for over 75 years.
You okay back there, buddy?
Every day, millions of people looking for healthy skin reach for Cetaphil, recommended by dermatologists, awarded by Allure, and most of all, loved by skin. Cetaphil, the cleanser sensitive skin loves.
If you live with diabetes, why fingerstick when you can scan? With the Freestyle Libre 14-day system, just scan the sensor with your reader, iPhone, or Android and manage your diabetes. With the Freestyle Libre 14-day system, a continuous glucose monitor, you can check your glucose levels anytime without fingersticks. Ask your doctor to write a prescription for the Freestyle Libre 14-day system. You can do it without fingersticks. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
Think all premium fuels are the same? New Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline is engineered with 4 levels of defense against gunk, wear, corrosion, and friction. That helps keep your engine running like new. So maybe it's time to unthink what you think about premium fuel. Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline. It's fuel for thought.
Yes, I'm doing it all. The water, the exercise, the fiber. Month after month, and I still have belly pain and recurring constipation. So I asked my doctor what else I could do. And I said yes to Linzess.
Linzess treats adults with IBS with constipation or chronic constipation. Linzess is not a laxative. It works differently. It helps relieve belly pain and lets you have more frequent and complete bowel movements. Do not give Linzess to children less than 6, and it should not be given to children 6 to less than 18. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling.
I'm still doing it all. The water, the exercise, the fiber, and I said yes to Linzess for help with belly pain and recurring constipation. Ask your doctor.
At Domino's, we're more than just pizza for $5.99. We're $5.99 bread twists, $5.99 sandwiches, $5.99 pastas, $5.99 chicken, and yes, $5.99 pizza too. We didn't stop at pizza, and you don't have to either.
Life doesn't give you many second chances. But a Subaru can.
You guys okay? You all right?
Eyesight with pre-collision braking. Standard on the Subaru Ascent. Presenting the 3-row Subaru Ascent. Love is now bigger than ever.
All eyes on me.
Cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for peak refreshment. The world's most refreshing beer, Coors Light.
This is still going to be a very major rain event.
We're getting crushed.
It wouldn't take much to push that water over the levees.
Then there'll be a surplus of rainfall, a potentially deadly situation for so many people across the region.
Thank you for staying with us for our special extended live coverage of Tropical Storm Barry. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Lopez in the lab tonight with our storm specialist, Carl Parker. Here is what we know at this hour as Tropical Storm Barry closes in on the central Gulf Coast. Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant has signed a state of emergency proclamation for areas that are expected to be affected by Tropical Storm Barry. 3.6 million people are right now under tropical alerts. New Orleans officials say to stay inside and shelter in place tonight. Frontier, JetBlue, and Southwest Airlines have canceled all flights in and out of New Orleans for Saturday. Let's take you to New Orleans and go back to Paul Goodloe. He's been there throughout the day. And Paul, again, we hear the mayor saying everybody should really just stay inside tonight. As you look over the city, are a lot of people doing that?
Yeah, it's not as nearly as busy as it would be on a Friday, and you know, a lot of things have been impacted because of this threat of this tropical storm. Huge convention in town, Delta Sigma Theta sorority, over 16,000 registered members, and then you got family and friends, so easily 20,000 people in town for that. And the convention wrapped up early today, 2 days early, because of the threat here with Barry. A lot of people were leaving town right after they had the elections installed their officers, but some people are riding this out. And he mentioned a lot of airlines not flying tomorrow, so some people can't get out tomorrow, so they might have to ride this out. So definitely urge them to use common sense and caution. Don't drive through floodwaters. Don't let your taxi or Uber driver go and take you through floodwaters as well. And also got to remember that this is New Orleans. You got famous French Quarter behind me over to my right here. We were out in Bourbon Street last night, and it was packed. And a Friday night in Bourbon Street, I mean, that says nothing but a lot of people having a lot of good times down here. So that's probably going to be dampered as well, as the mayor is urging people to stay off the streets basically from now until this thing is over. And the Rolling Stones, Mick Jagger and group, they're supposed to perform on Sunday. That concert now has been pushed back another day till Monday, and even Monday could still see some rain and some lingering impacts here from Tropical Storm Barry. So a lot of things being influenced here, and I tell you what, in terms of just what's going on here in the city, to have a Friday, maybe even a Saturday kind of washed out because of the tropical storm, I think a lot of businesses will be suffering because of that. But at the end of the day, you know, money can't replace people. So the important thing is keeping people safe, and secondarily, keeping property safe. But right now, let's go back to the studio in the lab with Carl with the very latest on Barry. And Carl, looks like we're starting to see more of these persistent rain bands now swing into the city of New Orleans.
Yeah, we are. And in fact, winds gusting to as high as 62 miles per hour in southern Louisiana right now. So our tropical storm is beginning to move in. It is going to be a very slow mover over the next couple of days. 65-mile-per-hour storm right now. May get a little bit stronger, may just become a hurricane before it moves in. And you see how little it moves from tomorrow morning along the coast there into Sunday morning. That's a 24-hour period between those forecast points. And keep in mind, that is not an impacts cone. The impacts are going to be felt well outside of that cone. Very heavy rain is what's got us most concerned. Life-threatening river flooding and flash flooding on the way. You've got a huge area of several inches of rain, and you notice there in southeastern Louisiana in particular, from New Orleans on westward into, say, Morgan City, into Lafayette, into Baton Rouge, we could be talking about 12, 15, 18 inches of rain, maybe more in some spots. So this is a situation where creeks are going to rise rapidly, roads are going to be covered by water, and you may even have to evacuate vertically in some cases, get to a higher level. There could be some community-wide flooding in some areas. Now, this is a model representation of the storm. It may not happen exactly like this, but this model does seem to have a pretty good handle on the storm. And so here we see tomorrow afternoon and the core of the storm getting a little bit more organized, and an area of heavy rain starting to move in areas just west of New Orleans, again towards Baton Rouge, towards Lafayette. I want you to notice that's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Look how little that changes through the rest of the day on Saturday. So for the rest of the day, and then even into 4 o'clock in the morning, that's a 12-hour period where it's just nonstop rain there in southeastern Louisiana. That is what we're worried about, folks. This is why you've got to take this storm very, very seriously. Much more in Barry coming right up.
This is the story of John Smith. Not this John Smith, or this John Smith, or any of the other hundreds of John Smiths that are Humana Medicare Advantage members. No, it's this John Smith, who we paired with a Humana team member to help address his own specific health needs. At Humana, we take a personal approach to your health to provide care that's just as unique as you are, no matter what your name is.
Let's all experience something together. This beer, so pure you can taste it. Michelob Ultra Pure Gold. Beer in its organic form.
I switched from Dodge.
We switched from Ford.
I switched from Ram. I switched to Chevy.
We switched to Chevy. We switched to Chevy.
For dependability.
For these guys.
And just look at it.
We switched to Chevy.
See for yourself why people are switching at the Chevy All-Star Open House. Get 20% below MSRP on all 2019 Silverado double cab pickups. That's over $97.50 on this Silverado. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
To look at me now, you don't see psoriasis. You see clear skin.
You see me.
But if you saw me before Cosentix,
I was covered. It was awful.
but I didn't give up. I kept fighting.
I got clear skin with Cosentix.
3 years and counting. Clear skin can last.
See if Cosentix could make a difference for you. Cosentix is proven to help people with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis find clear skin that can last. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentix. Before starting Cosentix, you should be checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, or if you've received a vaccine or plan to. If you have inflammatory bowel disease, tell your doctor if symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions may occur.
See me now. I'm still clear.
How sexy are these elbows?
Get clear skin that can last. Ask your dermatologist about Cosentix.
We're Oscar Mayer Deli Fresh, and you may know us from your very first sandwich. Your mammoth masterpiece, and whatever this was. Because we make our meat with the good of the deli and no artificial preservatives. Make every sandwich count with Oscar Mayer Deli Fresh.
Now you can make any morning of the week feel like the weekend with Jimmy Dean Simple Scrambles. Made fresh with 2 real eggs, sausage, and cheese. And ready in seconds.
Why don't you put a Sunday morning shine on tomorrow morning's breakfast?
At Domino's, delivery is kind of our thing. We even made a car for it. So when you get pizza, stuffed cheesy bread, or any of the other mix and match items delivered for just $5.99 each, you can trust we'll do our thing to get you your things. Because we know a thing or two about delivery at Domino's.
How pure can pure be? Our 12-step process provides 100% pure quality water. Look for kids packs from Nestle Pure Life. Fun designs and a perfect size just for your kids.
We want to bring you the latest on Tropical Storm Barry as we continue to watch the projected path going through parts of Louisiana, bringing with it a lot of heavy rainfall. Right now, we're finding winds up to 65 miles an hour as we see some of that rain already move in. And we are going to continue to watch the center of circulation come very close to the coast of Louisiana. You can see it's not too far away from Morgan City, just off to the south and southeast. Winds up 65 miles an hour. We have had reports of gusts right along the coast of around 61 miles an hour. So again, Tropical Storm Barry could even get a little bit stronger right before it makes landfall, perhaps increasing its winds just a little bit. But the biggest story out of this, I think, will be the heavy amount of rain that we are going to see from this, because as you see, it moves up near Memphis by Monday night. Again, it's Friday night right now, so we have, we are going to be dealing with this as we go through the weekend across parts of the lower Mississippi River Valley. Well, we cannot overstate it enough. The dangers that come from water with a system like this, especially the heavy rain that we are expecting over the next 2 days. Earlier today, the governor of Louisiana urged his residents to stay off the roads to stay alive.
As I say at every possible opportunity, please do not drive through standing water if you are not absolutely certain that you can safely do so. Most fatalities that we have experienced here in Louisiana over the last several years from flood events happen when individuals drive in standing water. The water is deeper than they thought it would be, and in many cases there's also current that is not perceptible to them. So be patient. Don't do that.
All right, so now let's talk more about this tropical system. And again, the projected path kind of taking it through Louisiana, up into Arkansas, and even into parts of Missouri. And it's going to take a few days. So we're going to be talking about this well through the weekend, even into the beginning of next week. Another huge story that we've been talking about is the tremendous amount of rain that we are anticipating with this system. Some areas could get up to 12 inches of rain, maybe even more. And this is just an incredible map to show you that the red kind of shows you where the projected path is supposed to be. And notice here, the center of circulation may not even actually go over the state of Mississippi. However, Mississippi could see anywhere from 8 inches of rainfall to maybe more than a foot of rain. So even if your state is not going to feel the direct impact from this system, you will be getting a lot of rain from it, anywhere from Alabama, Mississippi, all the way into Arkansas and western Tennessee. The wettest tropical cyclones that we have had by state, again, Alabama has been able to pick up almost 40 inches of rain back in '97 from Danny, and Louisiana not too far behind. Back in the 40s, we had one system come through dumping more than 37 inches of rainfall. So not out of the realm that we could get just a tremendous amount of rain from these tropical systems. We're already starting to see that. If you've been watching us with Paul Goodloe in New Orleans, he's been getting hit with some rain already. Well, we're going to get more of that as we go through the night and especially through tomorrow, and the projected path just continues to show that moisture going right up into the Sunday to Monday timeframe. Well, the Weather Channel's Kelly O'Hare has been live in Macomb, Mississippi for us this evening. Hey, Kelly.
Hi, good evening, Jennifer. The governor declaring a state of emergency for areas that are going to be affected by Tropical Storm Barry. That tropical storm is going to make landfall tomorrow morning in areas like here in the southwest part of the state. Big concern here, of course, is flooding. They're going to get a lot of rain. You know, hard to believe when you look up at these beautiful skies tonight. You can see the moon, you can see the stars, you can see some clouds. But let me tell you, tomorrow morning it is going to be a very, very different story. There are going to be a lot of clouds in that sky and a lot of rain falling down, nearly 2 feet of water, nearly 2 feet of water. That is going to be much higher than these curbs right here. A lot of folks are really worried. The state has sent in a lot of resources down here. Swiftwater rescue teams, they expect flash flooding in some of their low-lying areas. We spoke to the mayor earlier. He is very, very worried. Take a listen.
With the expectation of 10 to 15 inches of rain, many of our drainage canals and our streets most likely will not be able to hold all the water. So the flash flooding in this area, I'm very much concerned about it.
Earlier, there was a county meeting here in Pike County. A lot of mayors, a lot of sheriffs, a lot of police chiefs all came together to try to figure out what the best course of action is. Let me tell you, they are really prepped and preparing tonight to make sure everyone in this area is safe tomorrow morning. They're going to go back out to those areas where some folks live in the low-lying areas. Sheriff's Department was out there tonight. They're going back out tomorrow morning to ask folks, say, hey, can you please leave? We are concerned about, possible flooding in this area. And keep in mind, in Mississippi, like a lot of parts of the country, there's been so much rain the last couple of months. The ground is already really saturated. So all this rainfall, nearly, again, 2 feet, is just going to be adding insult to injury with this storm. And again, keep in mind, Jennifer, this is the start of storm season. So a lot of people, holding on tight, praying to Mother Nature to please spare the state of Mississippi. But again, the mayor declaring a state of emergency. The areas are going to be affected. Jennifer, back to you.
All right. Thank you so much there, Kelly.
With the Capital One Venture Card, you'll earn unlimited double miles on every purchase every day, not just airline purchases. Think about all the double miles you could be earning.
Holy moly, that's a lot of miles!
Shh.
What's in your wallet?
Discover new San Pellegrino Essenza, a twist of Mediterranean flavors with the gentle bubbles of San Pellegrino. Add a twist of flavor. San Pellegrino Essenza, tastefully Italian.
At Domino's, delivery is kind of our thing. We even made a car for it. So when you get pizza, stuffed cheesy bread, or any of the other mix and match items delivered for just $5.99 each, you can trust we'll do our thing to get you your things. Because we know a thing or two about delivery at Domino's.
There were ants everywhere, thousands of them. And the problem was too big for us, but not for Orkin. And Sarah, she's organized, she's meticulous, she's like a part of the family.
And she can do backflips on the trampoline. Wow.
I'm Jimmy Dean, and I wish I could tell you how I feel about a morning like this. And that includes a good hearty breakfast. You need something to kind of warm the whole body up and get it going. It's a great way to kick off your day.
When I am helping a customer, I need to treat everybody the way I would want them to treat my family. I want them to know that I really want to help you. That's what I'm here for.
Fixed right, priced right, right on time. The triple promise, only at Firestone Complete Auto Care.
Well, it finally happened, Zachary. Somebody burned down my she shed.
The she shed was struck by lightning.
Is my she shed covered by State Farm?
Your she shed's covered, Cheryl.
That's wonderful news.
Home insurance trusted by more people than any other. State Farm.
So now, Dish has over 80,000 on-demand movies and shows. 80,000. Why? I mean, it would take you years to get through 80,000. Thing is, it's not about 80,000. It's about one. That one movie you saw that one time on a first date with that one girl. That's why.
Dish, tuned in to you. We got one of those new purple mattresses, and it is amazing. You have to try it.
Oh, this doesn't feel like memory foam.
No.
This feels amazing.
Right?
What is it?
Actually, it's called Purple, and it's a completely unique comfort technology, meticulously designed to cradle and support the human body.
Cool.
For a limited time, choose a free Purple product with mattress purchase at purple.com/TV.
This is your dog. He needs a walk while you're out with friends today. That's where WAG comes in. WAG lets you book a dog walker whenever you need. This is Antonio. He's great with dogs.
I've been walking dogs for 2 years now.
Plus, he's been vetted by WAG and knows his stuff.
When meeting a new dog, I always make sure they warm up to me first.
Antonio knows how to give your dog a great walk, and he fills you in on all the details. That's why you use WAG, because of great walkers like Antonio. Get your first walk free when you download the app now.
This is epic!
You're watching America's most trusted TV news network.
We've got a severe weather threat.
We are live on the ground. Right now, it's coming down.
The Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 80 degrees under clear skies. Tonight, mostly clear, low 72. Winds northwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Saturday, mainly sunny, high 90. Winds west-northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Saturday night, a mostly clear sky, low 75. Winds west-southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Barry is a very slow-moving and strengthening storm. Hurricane warnings are up, and both wind and water will be life-threatening hazards at the coast and inland. Torrential rains could flood entire communities near the coast and eventually hundreds of miles inland for days after landfall. To stay alive, stay out of the water. Don't drive onto any water-covered roads. Turn around. Don't drown. If you're trapped in your home by floodwaters, call 911 and stay out of storm surge by evacuating as instructed by local officials. And watch out for falling trees, which can take out power as strong winds move across areas where the soil is already saturated. Don't underestimate this storm. That could be a deadly mistake. Let's get ready, stay dry, and live to help one another through the aftermath of whatever comes our way.
Great advice. Got to prepare, and also as you recover, be neighborly. Again, people in need, you know who your neighbors and friends are if you definitely have to recover from this. Hey, we're in New Orleans, which is in Orleans Parish, and everyone knows that if you're visiting New Orleans, what's going on. But if you live here, well, New Orleans is not just about Orleans Parish. It's also about the neighboring parish to the west and southwest. That's Jefferson Parish. And joining us this evening is Mike Getty, the president of Jefferson Parish, and kind of tell our viewers exactly where your area is and how does it kind of relate. And it's almost a sister parish to this New Orleans area.
Absolutely, a very good sister parish to New Orleans. We're nestled between the Orleans Parish and St. Charles Parish, and all the way from Lake Pontchartrain to Grand Isle, which is in the Gulf of Mexico, basically. We have about 430,000 residents, so we're the largest parish in southeast Louisiana, and certainly a thriving parish. And we've weathered some storms before, and of course we'll weather this one also.
And you guys are basically a suburb of New Orleans, but part of your parish actually touches the Gulf of Mexico, Grand Isle out there. You guys have mandatory evacuations down there?
Yes, we do. In Grand Isle, which is our barrier island, that certainly protects us from a lot of tidal surge. They did an evacuation. There's still about 500 people on the island. And of course, when we say a mandatory evacuation, that truly means we cannot provide EMS, fire departments, police services, or our public works services. So those residents are on their own until it's possible for us to be able to reach them and the prevailing winds drop down.
Now, outside of the barrier island, talk about the other things that you guys are vulnerable to, because you guys are basically just like New Orleans. You guys sit below sea level.
We do. Now, we have one of the greatest pump systems in the world as far as I'm concerned. We have 69 drainage pump stations with 190 pumps. When we pump at full capacity, we could fill up the Louisiana Superdome in 41 minutes. So that's certainly a significant amount of water when you think of turf to ceiling in the Louisiana Superdome. But, you know, we make sure our lower lying areas, we dispatch portable pumps. We have about 12 portable pumps in Grand Isle, another 12 portable pumps in the town of Jean Lafitte. And outside of Jean Lafitte, the unincorporated area is Barataria, Crown Point, and lower lying Lafitte. And we have a mandatory evacuation for those residents also.
And the mayor here in New Orleans was asking people to get off the streets by 8 o'clock tonight. What's the word in Jefferson Parish? What are you urging your residents to do?
You know, we ask our residents to stay at home. We didn't put any types of curfew or time limits. Now, in Grand Isle, the mayor said he wants he's imposing a curfew at 10 p.m. tonight. But here in Jefferson, we're not imposing any curfew. Of course, we ask motorists and residents to be very cautious. And as the rains pick up and the winds pick up, we would like people to stay home. As we lose power, it is very important for you to stay home because we need our Entergy trucks to be able to get to where they need to go to restore power in Jefferson Parish. We know how burdensome that is to our residents. Entergy has really stepped up. They have over 6,000 employees they've pulled in from other companies, other areas. Fortunately, the storm is a true Louisiana event, as Governor John Bel Edwards said earlier. And, you know, we're focusing on making sure that power can get restored when the prevailing winds drop so they can go up in those bucket trucks.
And what are the conditions like right now in Grand Isle? I mean, those guys down there are in a storm surge warning, a hurricane warning as well. They're going to be in the front lines of what comes in from the Gulf of Mexico.
Grand Isle is always on the front lines. On a daily basis sometimes. You know, the front of the island is protected by an earthen levee system. The back of the island is not. So when the surge goes around, it can flood the island. They're experiencing 55 to 65 mile an hour wind gusts. Earlier today, they were already at sustained winds at about 30 to 40 miles an hour. So obviously, Mayor Carmidel, who does a great job securing that island as best he can, is certainly working to protect the people that have stayed and making sure the island withstands whatever comes its way. But we always get concerned about Grand Isle. That's a barrier island that protects southeast Louisiana, and we need it to stay that way.
And what type of messaging are you trying to get out to all the residents there in Jefferson, even it's all across this area of southeastern Louisiana?
To everybody, we always ask them to help us. If they clear their drainage catch basin, that water will go through those drain lines, get to our canals so that we can get it to our 69 pump stations and our 190 pumps and be able to pump it out of their streets. And hopefully we have no structure flooding with the amount of rain we're going to get. We've increased our pump capacity so high in Jefferson Parish, we pretty much have more street flooding now, but no structure flooding. And that's the important thing. But we ask people to make sure they put their cars in their garages or their driveways. We have over 80,400 catch basins in Jefferson Parish. Since the beginning of the year to today, we have cleaned out about 28,000 catch basins. Just in the past 24 to 36 hours, we've cleaned out about 8,000.
President of Jefferson Parish, Mike Yenny, thanks so much for stopping by.
Thank you.
Best of luck to you. And
thank you very much.
Best as you weather the storm.
And we will weather it. Thank you.
We're back after this.
We're Oscar Mayer Deli Fresh, and you may know us from your very first sandwich. Your mammoth masterpiece, and whatever this was. Because we make our meat with the good of the deli and no artificial preservatives. Make every sandwich count with Oscar Mayer Deli Fresh.
Fine.
Finally, an Eggo thick and fluffy waffle all to myself. Whoa. Karen, you gotta try this. Breakfast in bed? Major husband points.
Would you?
Lego your Eggo?
Don't even. I'm serious. Yes!
Frito-Lay variety packs, packed with possibilities.
At Domino's, we're more than just pizza for $5.99. We're $5.99 bread twists, $5.99 sandwiches, $5.99 pastas, $5.99 chicken, and yes, $5.99 pizza too. We didn't stop at pizza, and you don't have to either.
People say if you have occasional constipation, you should know the location of a decent bathroom. My gut says take new Benefiber Healthy Balance. This daily supplement helps maintain digestive health naturally while relieving occasional constipation and abdominal discomfort. New Benefiber Healthy Balance.
Let's see. Aleve is proven better on pain than Tylenol Extra Strength and lasts longer with fewer pills. So why am I still thinking about this? I'll take Aleve.
Aleve, proven better on pain.
Norwegian's Free at Sea lets you choose up to 5 free offers, like free unlimited open bar, free shore excursions, friends and family sail free, and more. Your next vacay awaits from just $1.99. Norwegian Cruise Line. Feel free.
This is Miguel.
Hola.
This is Miguel's mandolin business he built himself. This is Miguel's son.
Sorry.
Miguel wants to pass on his business to his son, but he doesn't know how.
Music I could read. Legal? Not so much.
So he turned to his friends at LegalZoom. We helped him set up the right estate plan so his son will inherit his business, so Miguel can get back to making music.
Sings like an angel, doesn't she?
This is Miguel's Mandolin Shop, and this is where life meets legal.
All money managers might seem the same, but some give their clients cookie-cutter portfolios. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to your goals and needs. Some only call when they have something to sell. Fisher calls regularly, so you stay informed. And while some advisors are happy to earn commissions whether you do well or not, Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when you do better. Maybe that's why most of our clients come from other money managers. Fisher Investments, clearly better money management.
Hey, Chuck Woolery here with a bit of a confession. I have a new favorite emu oil. Forget the imitators. There's only one Blue Emu. Get American-made Blue Emu. It works fast and you won't stink. You're on.
It is a mad dash to the finish line, preparing for Tropical Storm Barry.
While it is uncertain what the impact will be, we will be affected, and we need to be prepared, and we are prepared to respond.
South Louisiana floods in 3 ways: from riverine flooding, rainfall, and from storm surge. This system is bringing all 3 of those elements.
A lot of preparations underway as Louisiana, even Mississippi, preparing for the onslaught of the impacts from Tropical Storm Barry. Thanks for staying with us for Tracking Barry. I'm meteorologist Paul Goodell live in New Orleans, and we are here because this city is certainly vulnerable. We just talked to the president of Jefferson Parish, which is a parish to the west and southwest of New Orleans, and they're in the same boat in terms of they're below sea level. They have pumps, and they're concerned about the heavy rain coming in, and their pumps work at the same rate the pumps here in New Orleans do. They can pump the first initial inch of rain out in the initial hour, and then every hour after that, it's a half inch of rain. And we could see rainfall rates a lot heavier than that in a short amount of time, and that could lead to more flooding across the area. Already a smattering of power outages, another big concern across the area, but the biggest concern is what's falling from the sky. We started to see kind of this light rain, at times little bursts of moderate rain come through over the last 2.5 hours, something we haven't seen a lot so far, but that's the thing. Once this rain kind of starts and is persistent, the intensity will start to increase overnight and throughout the day on Saturday. Some of the models are forecasting 2, 4, 5, 12, 15 inches of rain, and when you get to the higher end of those ranges, that could spell disaster for some parts of southeast Louisiana, so a big concern. But this storm is not just about New Orleans. It's about a good chunk of Louisiana, even parts of Mississippi, and then north of here as well. This rain continues to move northward slowly, which means we could see a lot of flash flood concerns well outside of just New Orleans and Jefferson Parish. So this is a big concern for this part of the Gulf Coast of the U.S. Let's talk more about the very latest what's going on with Barry. Go back to the studio in the lab with Jennifer Lopez and Carl Parker this evening. Hey, guys.
All right. Thanks so much, Paul. And again, we are continuing to watch this, and Carl is joining us now to talk more about this. And again, with this tropical storm, we've seen a little bit of rain, but we keep talking about the rain. So when do we really think it's going to pick up?
Well, you know, it looks like the core of the storm is going to begin to move in during the day tomorrow. So really tomorrow afternoon, and then over the next, day to a couple of days, we're going to see very heavy rain. And so that's why we expect to see the flash flooding, because it's going to be a long duration event. Storm is a 65-mile-per-hour storm right now, moving very slowly. That slow motion is going to continue. That's really critical. That's a key part of why this storm is going to pose such a threat, because it's not going to move very quickly. That is going to amplify all the effects. It's going to make it last that much longer. Now, you probably noticed it looks a little strange on satellite. There's been some northerly wind coming down into the circulation. We call that wind shear, and that's been interfering with the circulation, but it's also got very good what's called outflow on the south side. And so that has allowed these thunderstorms to really blossom, especially tonight. Tremendously cold cloud tops. These thunderstorms are punching well up into the atmosphere. So it really is becoming more organized by the hour. And right now we're starting to see some of that activity wrapping around and getting into southeastern parts of Louisiana. And we're seeing some very strong wind right now as well. Winds now gusting to 62 miles per hour at Port Fourchon, now gusting to 36 in New Orleans. So this is the beginning of that event, and that is gradually going to move off to the north and to the west and overspread southeastern Louisiana. And along with that, we're going to see widespread tropical storm force winds. These are probabilities in that magenta color of 90% of tropical storm force winds. So power outages are going to be widespread in these areas. All that wind also piling up the water. Right now, we've got a water level rise of 2.9 feet on Lake Pontchartrain. Of course, you've got the levees there in New Orleans, and that's certainly a very elaborate system. It's going to help out New Orleans, but widespread areas of 3 to 6 feet of storm surge flooding. And in fact, when we look at the potential storm surge flooding map, this is a product from the National Hurricane Center. This is a model based on the intensity of the storm and the nature of the coastline. What it's showing us is that some areas could be in for some really significant flooding. This is the reasonable worst case scenario. And so along 90 there near Franklin, we're talking about as much as 6 to 9 feet of storm surge. That is life-threatening storm surge. But another huge part of what we're expecting from this storm is this mass of deep tropical moisture to very slowly come up and across southern Louisiana and get into Mississippi over the next couple of days here. And the long duration of this event is likely going to cause life-threatening flash flooding. We're not just talking about roads being covered by water. We're talking about possibly communities being inundated by water. So you may actually have to evacuate vertically in some areas. Be prepared to do that. And if that's happening, if you're getting very serious flash flooding, it may be a situation where you can't escape by car because it's so widespread. There's a look at the forecast for rainfall. Keep in mind that these numbers could be conservative in some areas, but we're talking about tremendous amounts of rain. From New Orleans, 9 to 10 inches there. Towards Baton Rouge could be widespread flooding along I-10 on either side of Baton Rouge there. 12 to 14 inches along that I-10 corridor. Maybe as much as 15, maybe as much as 20 inches of rainfall. So this is what's got us most concerned, because this storm is going to be moving so slowly. So be prepared for very serious flash flooding. Jennifer?
Well, here is what we know right now as Tropical Storm Barry closes in on the central Gulf Coast. Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant has declared a state of emergency for areas affected by Tropical Storm Barry. The Rolling Stones say they're moving their Superdome show from Sunday to Monday, and tickets will be honored. New Orleans officials say to stay inside and shelter in place tonight. Frontier, JetBlue, and Southwest Airlines have canceled all the flights that are going to be going in and out of New Orleans for tomorrow. Let's take you back to New Orleans, and that is where we find Paul Goodloe tonight. He's been there throughout the day, giving us the latest. And Paul, just about 30 minutes ago, it looks like the rain was really coming down. Maybe it's trying to pick back up where you are now?
Yeah, I think you spoke it into existence there, Jennifer. We're seeing a little bit of moderate rain coming through here. But earlier today, it wasn't really raining. It was breezy. In fact, it was windy yesterday as well. But the winds now have been gusting in that tropical storm force range from time to time, talking 30 to 40 miles per hour. Tropical storm force talking closer to 40 miles per hour. And we do expect the wind gusts to increase, but we also expect this rain to increase. And it is doing it right on cue here. And right now, it's kind of light rain. We could, the city here, we can deal with this type of rain, but the concern is it's going to get heavier before it stops finally. That might not be until perhaps Sunday or Monday, so that's a big concern of having some heavy rain come through. Behind me, we have the Gulf of Mexico. Difficult to see now that the sun has set, but one thing we noticed today, this evening versus yesterday evening when we were across on the West Bank at the Algiers Point area, we were still seeing barge traffic and tugboats going on by. Nothing right now because the river is closed to traffic. I want to bring in on the phone Lieutenant Commander Karine Plummer of the U.S. Coast Guard. Thanks for joining us this evening, Lieutenant Commander. And let's talk about this. You guys go to Condition Zulu. Tell our viewers what that means.
Sure. Thanks for having me. So Port Condition Zulu is our final port condition, which means that no vessel movement is allowed within the port without permission from the captain of the port.
And is that one of the reasons why some of the cruise ships decided to not return to New Orleans because of their anticipation of the port being closed?
Yes, sir. We took into account all of our stakeholders and our industry partners, and it was a collective decision made that we thought it would be for the safety of the passengers on the vessel and the cruise ship, as well as to the port, that they not come into port as planned yesterday.
And I've been watching the traffic here on the river. It's quite amazing. There's a lot of traffic going on here. So what happens to those barges? Where do they go when you close the port? Are they moored somewhere upriver, downriver? Where do they go?
So generally barges, they would go to their fleeting facilities and have enact their severe weather plans that might include doubling up their mooring lines or having safety rounds go through those fleeting areas to make sure everything is safe. Some vessels were able to transit further north where in anticipation of the storm, and some vessels are at their facilities with doubled up lines and extra precautions in place.
So the level of the river is closing in on 17 feet, forecast to perhaps crest closer to 19 feet, which is down from a forecast of 20 a couple of days ago. Does that make this river even more dangerous because it is maybe 8 to 10 feet higher than it normally would be, say, even a year ago or even 2 years ago?
Yes, sir. I would say the elevated river level brings unique challenges. We've been in a high water period for a number of months now, since about December. So the combination of the prolonged high water period with a tropical storm event presents unique challenges to the port. So we spoke with our partners early and often to come up with the best mitigating efforts we could. But many of the people throughout the port who have lived here or worked on the river for many, many years, no one can remember this combination of high river with a storm event happening at the same time. So it definitely brings its unique challenges.
Unique to say the least. Thank you very much. That is Lieutenant Commander Karine Plummer from the U.S. Coast Guard stationed here at the Port of New Orleans. Thanks for joining us this evening, and best of luck to you and the brave men and women there of the Coast Guard. And I'm pretty sure they're also probably on standby in case there is coastal flooding and storm surge and also flooding as well. So these men and women, get your rest while you can. People might need you. Hopefully they won't, but always got to prepare. Right now we're preparing for what else Barry could bring. Let's go back to the studio now. I know Carl Parker is watching this, and Carl, looks like that eastern side of that storm is trying to fill in with more and more rain rotating into New Orleans.
Yeah, exactly right, Paul. And, the thing that I've been thinking about for a while now is that, oftentimes tropical storms don't attract as much attention as do hurricanes, because hurricanes obviously produce a terrific amount of wind damage. But this is a tropical storm that could produce a significant amount of flooding here. And keep in mind that some of the tremendous events that we have seen in recent years, Harvey certainly comes to mind, they can be incredibly damaging, even being just tropical storms. So what you're looking at right now is a big mass of cloud there. There's a lot of deep tropical moisture that is lurking. It is just offshore right now and getting ready to come in. I want to show you a model depiction of this and show you how this may go down. So it may not happen exactly like this. This is what we call a mesoscale model, and it may not happen exactly like this, but it's pretty close, most likely. And so what we see here is that, first of all, just as Paul mentioned, we're starting to see more of that weather wrap around the eastern side of the circulation, wrap into the eastern side of the circulation. And so that brings this heavy rain up into areas west of New Orleans, near Lafayette, near Baton Rouge, going into Saturday afternoon. So that's Saturday afternoon, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We're solidly seeing very heavy rain at that time. And then watch this. Watch what happens. Because it moves so little, it goes on through the rest of Saturday night and then into Sunday morning. We've still got heavy rain coming down in the exact same areas 12 hours later. 12 hours later. So think about that. What if you're getting rainfall rates of 2 inches per hour for 12 hours? Well, then you're talking about maybe 20 inches of rain. That's how that's going to happen. That's why we're so worried about flash flooding here. And then even more rain comes up after that. Maybe not as concentrated, but it continues to flow up off the Gulf, even going through the day on Sunday. So flash flood watches are widespread across Louisiana and Mississippi. Here you see the total precipitation that we're expecting. We're talking about a huge area of 8 to 12 inches of rain. And then as you get a little bit closer there, we're looking at 12 to 15 inches and maybe more than that in these areas. So there could be some community-wide flooding in parts of southern Louisiana, Jen, and this has got us very, very worried. We hope that people are really prepared for what could be a devastating event for parts of Louisiana.
Well, with all this rain coming in, can the New Orleans levee system handle all the water? Well, we spoke with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers earlier today.
We've been in a flood fight for 200 days. We've been in what we would consider a significant flood fight since February. If there's a silver lining, that is that we've been on those levees every day inspecting, making sure that anything that could be a problem is addressed before it is a problem. So that's why we're so confident the levee system can do what it can do.
All right, let's talk a little bit more about the city of New Orleans. As we go through the weekend, the wind is only going to be getting stronger. Through Sunday, we could get winds more than 30 miles an hour. Tomorrow will be the strongest day with the wind gust up to 50 miles an hour. Rain still to come, anywhere from 8 to 12 inches, and we are expecting storm surge to be a problem in New Orleans. Now, if you're not that familiar with the city, it doesn't sit along the coast, but it's surrounded by water. It has Lake Pontchartrain up to the north, and then towards the other sides of the city, the Mississippi River surrounds it. And right in between is the city of New Orleans, and the city is below sea level. So to protect the city, there are levees built throughout the area. Everywhere you see red is a levee. Now, what is a levee? It's some kind of man-made thing that's going to protect land from water to come in. So there you see maybe it's a barricade, or perhaps a stronger barricade, of course, but some concrete, some higher grass or something. That is definitely what's going to try to protect the city, and because the city is at or below sea level. Now, again, the city itself is going to see a tremendous amount of rain with this, but we're also worried about storm surge, and we're going to watch that river as it is expected to get a little bit higher here in New Orleans, and certainly could have an impact on the levees. A lot more to come tonight in our special coverage of Tropical Storm Barry. We'll continue to bring you the latest.
Today's Best Western? What does that mean?
With rewards points that never expire, you get free nights fast. Now get a $20 Best Western gift card after your first stay. Book now at bestwestern.com.
Every day, millions of people looking for healthy skin reach for Cetaphil, recommended by dermatologists, awarded by Allure, and most of all, loved by skin. Cetaphil, the cleanser sensitive skin loves.
Discover new San Pellegrino Essenza, a twist of Mediterranean flavors with the gentle bubbles of San Pellegrino. Add a twist of flavor. San Pellegrino Essenza, tastefully Italian.
Is this our new car? It's a new Buick Envision. And I got it with Wi-Fi for all of your Wi-Fi stuff. Wireless charging for your phone. Cool. Wait till you check out the back. It's a lot of groceries. Look at my strong man. Don't patronize me.
The new Buick Envision is full of surprises. Current eligible GM owners get up to 16% below MSRP on most of these 2019 Buick models. That's just over $7,000 on this Envision Premium.
When I am helping a customer, I need to treat everybody the way I would want them to treat my family. I want them to know that I really want to help you. That's what I'm here for.
Fixed right, priced right, right on time. The triple promise, only at Firestone Complete Auto Care.
When it's time to sell your home, there's a lot of money on the line. How can you trust your real estate agent will get it right? There's good news. With HomeLight, you can compare actual performance data on thousands of agents near you, so you know who sells quickly, who sells for the best price. We'll match you with the perfect agent for your needs. And best of all, it's free. Sell your home for more money. Go to HomeLight.com today.
We got one of those new purple mattresses, and it is amazing. You have to try it.
Oh, this doesn't feel like memory foam.
No.
This feels amazing.
Right?
What is it?
Actually, it's called Purple, and it's a completely unique comfort technology, meticulously designed to cradle and support the human body.
Cool.
For a limited time, choose a free Purple product with mattress purchase at purple.com/TV.
Within our worst natural disasters are unseen stories of survival. New episodes of Defying Death, Heroes and Survivors, Sunday nights at 9, here on the Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 79 degrees under fair skies. Tonight, generally clear. Low 72. Winds northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Saturday, a mainly sunny sky. High 90. Winds west-northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Saturday night, a mostly clear sky. Low 75. Winds west-southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
When the ground is fully saturated, as it will soon be in Louisiana, it doesn't take much wind, as you all know, to cause a tree to fall or a utility pole to fall, and so these hazards, I think, are going to present themselves all over the state, and we need to be prepared for that. We also need to be prepared for widespread power outages that won't be remedied as quickly as we would like, because we have to make sure the conditions are safe in order to deploy the workers necessary to make the repairs. So the lack of electricity in many areas, and we can't predict where that's going to happen and how long it's going to exist, but that is another threat of this storm that people need to take into consideration as they make their preparations.
That was Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards talking about preparations and also the concern for power outages. That could be a wide-ranging impact from Tropical Storm Barry coming on shore overnight and throughout the day on Saturday, and still moving through here on Sunday as well, as those wind bands taking down trees and power lines and even flooding perhaps impacting some of the transfer stations as well. So a big concern. There are tons of power crews in the region ready to respond, but again, the storm has to move out before they can move in. They can't get those bucket trucks up and down if the wind is over a certain range here. So they're ready to respond, but you got to make sure that the storm is out of there and it's safe for them to do that as well. Here in New Orleans, well, we're still dealing with a brief dry stretch here. There's plenty of clouds overhead, and we've been dealing with quite a bit of rain coming through. Good news is it hasn't been heavy rain. It's been light rain. Plenty of rain to dampen the streets, and if you can have a jacket on, you will definitely be soaked. But this is a Friday night in New Orleans, and the governor of New Orleans, the mayor of New Orleans earlier asked for everyone to stay off the streets starting at 8 o'clock tonight, so we're about an hour past that. And it's Friday night. Bourbon Street is just off to my right here in the French Quarter. Happened last night. I'm pretty sure it's a different scene tonight because of the request there. I'm not even sure if many of the clubs and bars are open because of this, but we do expect the rain to continue. Even last night, leaving Bourbon Street, we saw some businesses putting sandbags and even plastic in front of the doorways because they had flooding 2 days ago, Wednesday morning, when heavy rain came on through here. So it's just an example of how quickly this city can flood. It sits below sea level, and whatever rain falls in here has to be physically pumped out of here to keep this place from flooding. Carl?
Hey, Paul, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about communications challenges because, you know, that's been an issue in the meteorology business for quite some time, and particularly when you're talking about a tropical storm. A lot of times hurricanes get attention and tropical storms don't get as much attention. But in a case where you've got a storm that is moving very, very slowly, you've got a huge threat. And I would imagine that Harvey changed that dynamic somewhat. But there still is an issue. You know, it seems like every time we have a storm like this, you have some people who say, well, we've been through tropical storms before and we weren't expecting anything like this. And we're hoping that that doesn't happen in this case.
And a great point, Carl. And Harvey, every storm is unique. So Harvey was, you know, one of a kind. Barry is going to be one of a kind. But in terms of Harvey, I want to go back to like the forecast of rainfall pre-Harvey. We're talking about on the east side around Houston. Some of the models were printing out, you know, 10, 20, 25, 28, and some even bullish up to 30 inches. We thought those were on the high side, and turns out the actual rainfall was twice that much. 60 inches of rain from one storm. And again, that had a very unique path where it slowed down, it stalled, it kind of moved backward. So, I mean, that was unique. But think about that and the forecast models we have with Tropical Storm Barry, and you can show it to the viewers. Even here, areas are, some of the models are forecasting, you know, double-digit, 12, maybe 20 inches of rain. And as evident in its pattern right now, Barry is not moving very fast. We're talking, what, 5-6 miles per hour? You know, that's kind of a light jog. It's faster than a walk, but, you know, it's not a full-out sprint at all. So it's taking its sweet time there, and that's the problem. It has the Gulf of Mexico wide open, a source region of all this rain coming on through there. It's luckily been on the southern side, but as the center gets closer, so does that southern side and that moisture-laden half of that storm.
And Paula, you know, we've been talking a lot about the levees. We just got a new forecast, and now the forecast crest for the Mississippi is 17 feet. So some slightly better news there. Let's hope that that forecast holds. But of course, you've got the issue of rain actually falling inside the levees there in the city itself. And, you know, you were talking about the pumps a little while ago. I heard an amazing figure. What was it that they could empty the volume of the Superdome in the space of 40 minutes, something like that? But even with that level of power in the pumps, it still might not be enough for certain rainfall rates.
And here's the thing, Carl, that number of 41 minutes filling the Superdome, those are the pumps in Jefferson Parish. We're not talking about the city of New Orleans. And all those pumps they all operate in the same kind of rate. So all the pumps can deal with the initial 1 inch of rain in 1 hour, and then a half inch every hour after that. So it's like one parish doesn't have super pumps over another. It all depends on what's coming down from the sky. So it's not just New Orleans which is vulnerable to this flooding. It's all the surrounding areas, including Jefferson Parish. So it really is about how heavy that rain comes through. 2 days ago, 6 to 10 inches of rain in 3 hours, massive flooding here. But 6 hours later, all you saw was some abandoned cars, and the street were dry at that point. As we get some gusty winds coming on in here, we're going to be here with you all night long, all weekend long, as the impacts and the center of Tropical Storm Barry starts making landfall across the Gulf Coast states. We're back after this.
Parents have a way of imagining the worst, especially when your easily distracted teenager has the car. At Subaru, we're taking on distracted driving with sensors that alert you when your eyes are off the road. The all-new Subaru Forester. The safest Forester ever.
Okay, everyone, our mission is to provide complete balanced nutrition for strength and energy.
Great tasting Ensure with 9 grams of protein and 26 vitamins and minerals. Ensure for strength and energy.
There are 3 words that mean everything when you live with migraine. I am here. Aim to say that more with Aimovig, a preventive treatment for migraine in adults that reduces the number of monthly migraine days. For some, that number can be cut in half or more. Don't take Aimovig if you're allergic to it. Allergic reactions like rash or swelling can happen hours to days after use. Common side effects include injection site reactions and constipation. Aim to be there more. Talk to your doctor about Aimovig.
Capital One knows life doesn't update you about your credit card. So meet Eno, the Capital One assistant that catches things that might look wrong and helps you fix them. Another way Capital One is watching out for your money when you're not. What's in your wallet?
You can't fake the goodness of real strawberries, the crunch of real almonds, how chocolatey chunks taste in cold milk. We keep it real because you can't fake delicious. Special K.
Morning, noon, night. Indulgent, delicious, irresistible. Fancy Feast makes delighting your cat delightfully easy. Every recipe, every last detail. Another fancy way to show your love. Fancy Feast. Introducing Fancy Feast Gourmet Naturals recipes.
Yes, I'm doing it all. The water, the exercise, the fiber. Month after month, and I still have belly pain and recurring constipation. So I asked my doctor what else I could do. And I said yes to Linzess.
Linzess treats adults with IBS with constipation or chronic constipation. Linzess is not a laxative. It works differently. It helps relieve belly pain and lets you have more frequent and complete bowel movements. Do not give Linzess to children less than 6, and it should not be given to children 6 to less than 18. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling.
I'm still doing it all. The water, the exercise, the fiber, and I said yes to Linzess for help with belly pain and recurring constipation. Ask your doctor.
When you're not able to smile, you become closed off. I felt withdrawn, alone.
Having to live with bad teeth for so long was extremely depressing. Now I know how happy I am.
There was all the feeling good about myself that I missed. I wish that I had gone to Aspen Dental on day 1 and not waited 3 years.
At Aspen Dental, we're all about yes. Like yes to flexible hours and payment options. Yes to free exam and x-rays for new patients without insurance. And yes, whenever you're ready to get started, we are too. Call now at 1-800-ASPEN-DENTAL.
This is still going to be a very major rain event.
We're getting crushed.
It wouldn't take much to push that water over the levees.
then there'll be a surplus of rainfall. A potentially deadly situation for so many people across the region.
And thank you so much for staying with us for our special extended live coverage of Tropical Storm Barry. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Lopez, and in the lab tonight with us is our storm specialist, Carl Parker. Here is what we know right now as Tropical Storm Barry is getting so close to the central Gulf Coast. Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant has declared a state of emergency for areas affected by Tropical Storm Barry. Meanwhile, the Rolling Stones say they're moving their Superdome show from Sunday to Monday, and tickets will be honored. About 20,000 customers, that number keeps going up, are without power here in Louisiana. Frontier, JetBlue, and Southwest Airlines have canceled all flights going in and out of New Orleans for tomorrow. And let's go back to New Orleans. That is where we find meteorologist Paul Goodloe. He's been there throughout the day. And Paul, now that it is nighttime, give us an idea of exactly where you are, what we're seeing behind you, as we can definitely tell that wind is picking up.
Yeah, the wind's picking up, kind of driving some rain as well. Behind me and also to my left is Mississippi River, and then off in that direction is the Mississippi River Bridge that connects the East Bank and the West Bank. And if you're watching us last night, we're at Algiers Point, which is kind of off this direction. Can't quite see it from the camera's vantage point, but then the French Quarter is just there, and Bourbon Street as well. And the mayor of New Orleans asked for everyone to be off the street by 8 o'clock tonight. And part of that is to, just give the first responders a break as well. People could be out here and about, and things could be blowing around. The rain could see some flooding as well. And then if people get into trouble, of course, they want the first responders to respond. But now you put them out in the same elements as well. So this is going to be kind of a long duration event. It really kind of ramps up tonight and overnight and throughout the day on Saturday, then hopefully finally starts winding down on Sunday. And so they've been really since earlier this week preparing for the approach of Barry and watching the forecast closely, whether it becomes a hurricane or tropical storm. Bottom line is they're not caught up in the name. They're caught up in the impacts, especially in this area. And they want all the residents, not only here in New Orleans, but across southeast Louisiana and this whole state to be prepared for the impacts. The impacts will be power outages. You mentioned creeping up now to 20,000 customers. And that's kind of a funny term, customers, because those are billing points. So that's the number the power companies can give us. But, you're a customer and you're a family of four. That's 4 more people. So if every customer averages maybe 2.5 people per billing, that could be maybe 40, 50,000 people right now in Louisiana without power, without air conditioning. And you have to remember, hurricanes and tropical storms and depressions, they happen in the summer, they happen in the warmer climates and high humidity as well. So if your air conditioner is not working and you still have another 36 hours of rain, mugginess outside as well, it's going to be pretty uncomfortable, let alone no TV, no cell phone, so it's a whole other issue as well. But this is just the beginning, and you have 20,000 people or customers without power, and the winds are just now starting to ramp up and only higher from here. So it is going to be a concern. Let's go back to the lab now and check back in with Carl, because Carl, we've been dealing with some wind gusts at times in that 40 mile per range, even 40 plus. So just gusts though, the sustained winds haven't quite gotten that strong yet, but it's really a matter of just time.
Yeah, certainly starting to feel like a tropical storm. And in fact, to your south, though, winds have been gusting over 60 miles per hour, Paul. So it looks like it's going to be a pretty active night tonight and only getting worse into early tomorrow morning. Thank you so much. And let's show you what's going on with the storm right now. It's a 65 mile per hour tropical storm. So it's getting closer to becoming a hurricane. Huge blow up of very tall thunderstorms indicated by those deep colors there, primarily on the south side of the circulation. Still struggling with some shear, but we expect that it is going to get a little stronger. Could reach hurricane status. It's going to move really slowly over the next couple of days. And here's a model representation of that. So you notice the wind starting to come in here with the core of the storm, the rain coming in, everything that's coming in with that storm, the wind, the rain, all of that, the surge really starting to pick up during the day tomorrow. But I also want you to notice that heavy rain in the afternoon tomorrow, west of New Orleans, perhaps. If this model is correct, it might be a little bit different than this, maybe near Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Morgan City. and then watch that area and watch how much heavy rain is there right through the rest of Saturday night and into Sunday morning. So you're talking about 12 solid hours of heavy rain. Might be in that area, might be a little bit different, but the point is it's going to be a very long duration event. That's why we are looking for life-threatening flash flooding. We're going to have much more on this very dangerous storm on the other side of the break.
This is not just a headache. This is not just a fever. This is not just the flu. It's meningitis B, and you're not there to help. While meningitis B is uncommon, once symptoms appear, they can progress quickly and can be fatal, sometimes within 24 hours. Before you send your teen to college, make sure you help protect them. Talk to your teen's doctor about meningitis B vaccination.
This is the story of John Smith. Not this John Smith. Or this John Smith. Or any of the other hundreds of John Smiths that are Humana Medicare Advantage members. No, it's this John Smith, who we paired with a Humana team member to help address his own specific health needs. At Humana, we take a personal approach to your health to provide care that's just as unique as you are, no matter what your name is.
Not even our competitor's best battery can match the power of Energizer, because Energizer Ultimate Lithium is the longest-lasting AA battery in the world. Energizer, backed by science, matched by no one.
July 16th is IHOP's Paniversary, so we're going back to 1950s prices and 1950s lingo. So get a move on, Daddy-O. These 58-cent short stacks, the bee's knees, the tops, total aces. July 16th, 58-cent short stacks, people. All eyes on me.
Cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for peak refreshment. The world's most refreshing beer, Coors Light.
I'm 52, but in my mind, I'm still 25. That's why I take Osteo Biflex to keep me moving the way I was made to. It nourishes and strengthens my joints for the long term.
Osteo Biflex, now in triple strength plus magnesium.
Need a change of scenery? Kayak searches hundreds of travel sites, even our competitors, so you can be confident you're getting the right flight at the best price. Kayak. Search one and done.
We're Oscar Mayer Deli Fresh, and you may know us from your very first sandwich. Your mammoth masterpiece, and whatever this was. Because we make our meat with the good of the deli and no artificial preservatives. Make every sandwich count with Oscar Mayer Deli Fresh.
Now you can make any morning of the week feel like the weekend with Jimmy Dean Simple Scrambles, made fresh with 2 real eggs, sausage, and cheese, and ready in seconds.
Why don't you put a Sunday morning shine on tomorrow morning's breakfast?
We are continuing to track Tropical Storm Barry with winds at 60 miles an hour. You can see the center of circulation just off the coast of Louisiana, though we are seeing the wind start to pick up even into New Orleans, where gusts have been as close to 40 miles an hour. We will continue to track Tropical Storm Barry, and as it moves inland, it's going to come into Louisiana by tomorrow, then move north, going up into the northern half of the state over Arkansas and continuing that northward movement. We do expect it to get a little bit stronger in the wind speed as we go through the night and into the morning, but we're also expecting a lot of rain from this. In fact, the rain could be measured in feet as we go into parts of central Louisiana as we head into Saturday and Sunday. Well, we cannot overstate it enough, the dangers that come from water with this system, especially the heavy rain that we're expecting in the next 2 days. Earlier today, the governor of Louisiana urged his residents to stay off the roads to stay alive.
As I say at every possible opportunity, please do not drive through standing water if you are not absolutely certain that you can safely do so. Most fatalities that we have experienced here in Louisiana over the last several years from flood events happen when individuals drive in standing water. The water is deeper than they thought it would be, and in many cases there's also current. that is not perceptible to them. So be patient. Don't do that.
Again, we are expecting a tremendous amount of rain, not just in Louisiana, but other parts of the South as we see this tropical storm move in. The projected path, again, taking it up into Louisiana, then continuing that northward movement. It will be weakening as it moves on into Louisiana and the northern half of Louisiana and up into Arkansas. But here's the interesting thing. Again, this outline in red indicates the projected path of the center. However, well away from the center over throughout Mississippi and into Alabama, this is an area that won't see that center come over, but they're going to get a lot of rain from it, especially here into Jackson, where the forecast right now calling for maybe up to 8 inches of rain. And rain could cause quite a bit of problems. It has in the past from tropical systems. In Alabama alone, back in '97, a tropical system dumped over 37 inches of rainfall. As we look at the future in the radar mode, we've had some rain here across the panhandle tonight. But as we go through tonight and into tomorrow, the rain is really going to focus in across Louisiana, Arkansas, and into Mississippi. Not going to rule out East Texas from getting that rainfall as well. So as we kind of look at the threat of flash flooding, the high likelihood is going to be across parts of Jackson, Mississippi, down to Macomb, Mississippi, Baton Rouge, Morgan City, Houma, Louisiana, all expecting to see flash flooding. Again, we're already getting some light rain and some gusty winds, and the rain is going to really pick up as we go into tomorrow, throughout the day tomorrow, and even into tomorrow night. About 10,000 people in Plaquemines Parish in Louisiana's low-lying southeastern tip have been ordered to evacuate, even though many residents have seen what can happen when massive flooding hits their parish. Some of them have decided to stay and take their chances.
Though Tropical Storm Barry is not supposed to hit land until sometime Saturday morning, you could see the outer bands beginning to make their way here into Plaquemines Parish, which is south of New Orleans. It's the finger of Louisiana, and this is a mandatory evacuation here. You see, this is the Mississippi River splashing up. This levee here, not too far until this water hits the top. That's the fear for so many residents, that this water will go over the levee and go into their homes and flood roads. Many people who just decided yesterday not to leave are now packing up and going.
The river is right there.
Miriam Hemlock lives just feet from the Mississippi River and wasn't going to follow the mandatory evacuations.
Look at the water.
Until she walked up on the levee this morning and saw this.
The river is too high and it's very dangerous, and we're scared we get flooding.
Down the road in Myrtle Grove, the Army National Guard and prison inmates are building sandbag walls in case water rises on Barataria Bay. Charles Belay is one of the owners of the marina here and has concerns.
I guess the uncertainty of how bad it may be, if it may intensify.
With sustained winds picking up and an expected epic drenching of the region, Belay still thinks Plaquemines Parish won't get the brunt of Barry.
It just depends how high the water might come up. I think we believe the winds will not get that bad. You still could have some damage to rooftops and tarps and things, patio covers and all. But I don't see a lot of extensive damage in this area.
Mailwoman Lauren Richardson wrapped up her shift on Friday. She and her family have decided to stay. But
if it gets worse, I mean, I'm not afraid to jump ship and take off. So, but we're not planning to right now.
For Miriam Hemlock, who did not evacuate during Hurricane Katrina 14 years ago and lost vehicles and her home, the risk is just too heavy.
I don't want to take chances this time.
In Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, Robert Ray, The Weather Channel.
Yes, the rain, no doubt, going to be causing big problems for millions of people along the northern Gulf. We'll have expert analysis with Carl Parker coming up right after this.
With Domino's Carry-Out Insurance, we'll remake your order for free if anything happens to it on the way home, even if it's not your fault. Like if it's whoever that guy's chasing's fault. Or if it's man's best friend's fault. Or even if it is, ultimately, your fault. Carry out Domino's large 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 each. With Domino's Carry-Out Insurance, just bring it back and we'll remake it for free.
Well, it finally happened, Zachary. Somebody burned down my she shed.
Nobody burned down your she shed, Cheryl.
Well, my she shed's on fire.
Your she shed was struck by lightning.
Zachary, is my she shed covered by State Farm?
Your she shed's covered, Cheryl.
You hear that, Victor? I'm getting a new she shed.
She shear?
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful news.
Home insurance trusted by more people than any other. State Farm.
If you have moderate to severe psoriasis or psoriatic arthritis, little things can be a big deal. That's why there's Otezla. Otezla is not an injection or a cream. It's a pill that treats differently. For psoriasis, 75% clearer skin is achievable with reduced redness, thickness, and scaliness of plaques. For psoriatic arthritis, Otezla is proven to reduce joint swelling, tenderness, and pain. And the Otezla prescribing information has no requirement for routine lab monitoring. Don't use if you're allergic to Otezla. It may cause severe diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting. Otezla is associated with an increased risk of depression. Tell your doctor if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts, or if these feelings develop. Some people taking Otezla reported weight loss. Your doctor should monitor your weight and may stop treatment. Upper respiratory tract infection and headache may occur. Tell your doctor about your medicines and if you're pregnant or planning to be. Otezla, show more of you.
So now, Dish has over 80,000 on-demand movies and shows. 80,000. Why? I mean, it would take you years to get through 80,000. Thing is, it's not about 80,000. It's about one. That one movie you saw that one time on a first date with that one girl. That's why.
Dish. Tuned in to you.
If something happened to you, what would happen to them? Their home, their education, their future. You need life insurance, and chances are SelectQuote can help you get it for less than $1 a day.
SelectQuote found Jacob 40, a $500,000 policy for only $19 a month. And SelectQuote found his wife Wendy a $500,000 policy for only $17 a month.
Our secret? At SelectQuote, we aggressively comparison shop up to 10 highly rated companies to find you the company with the best rates.
We found Gary, 35, a $1 million policy for only $22 a month.
Why pay more? Give your family the security they need at a price you can afford.
Call 1-800-852-9312 or go to SelectQuote.com now and get the insurance your family needs.
At a price you can afford. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
This is epic!
You're watching America's most trusted TV news network.
We've got a severe weather threat.
We are live on the ground. Right now it's coming down.
The Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 78 degrees under clear skies. Tonight, generally clear. Low 72. Winds northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Saturday, a mainly sunny sky. High 90. Winds west-northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Saturday night, a mostly clear sky. Low 75. Winds west-southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Welcome back to our coverage of Tropical Storm Barry. We have the brand new advisory in from the National Hurricane Center and no changes to the storm essentially. 65-mile-per-hour tropical storm, a strong tropical storm moving west-northwest at 3 miles per hour, so a slight lessening of forward speed. That is what really has us worried about the storm. And when we look at the forecast track and intensities for the storm here, you'll notice that there is now officially a hurricane point there. They did expect that the storm could very well reach hurricane status. Now looking at a 75-mile-per-hour storm, so a low-end hurricane coming in to the coast there early tomorrow. And, the difference between a 70-mile-per-hour tropical storm and a 75-mile-per-hour hurricane is almost nothing. It's the same storm, essentially. Wind's certainly an impact, but what we're most concerned about is the fact that it's going to move so slowly. You see that first point there is Saturday morning as a hurricane, the second point, tropical storm on Sunday morning. So that's the distance that it moves in the space of 24 hours. 24 hours is what it takes to move from southern Louisiana to northern Louisiana. So that's why we expect to see tremendous rainfall, very heavy rainfall, talking about double-digit rainfall that is going to fall well outside of that cone. It's really important not to say, well, I'm not in the cone, so it's not a big deal. It's not an impacts cone. The impact's going to extend well outside of that cone. All it is showing you the best guess in terms of the center line, and then it widens out because you're looking at the average forecast errors over time. But you see, there's going to be heavy rain well off to the east of that center. Even if the center does go right down the middle of that track, we're going to see a lot of heavy rain well out to the east of that center. And we're talking about, again, life-threatening flash flooding. Let's also talk about storm surge, because that's another big way in which tropical cyclones kill. And right now we're seeing a water level rise of 3 feet on Lake Pontchartrain. A lot of New Orleans, of course, protected by that very elaborate hurricane risk reduction system, $15 billion system of levees and walls and gates put in place after Katrina. And so it looks like they'll be fine in New Orleans for the most part as regards surge. But we do expect in other areas along the coastline there that there's going to be really significant surge, 3 to 6 feet from, say, areas around Shell Beach and down towards Plaquemines Parish and on westward to Morgan City. Now, this is a product from the National Hurricane Center, and it's what's called the potential storm surge flooding map. So it's the reasonable worst case scenario. And what they do is they plug in all the variables, how strong the storm is, and what the terrain is like, the bathymetry, that's the nature of the seafloor, the coastline, and give us a sense of just what kind of flooding we could see in a worst case scenario. And so what we're looking at along 90 there near Franklin is perhaps as much as 9 feet of storm surge flooding, some of that coming across Highway 90. So really significant flooding here in southern parts of Louisiana. But again, the biggest part of this is going to be this slow moving mass of deep tropical moisture and tremendously heavy rain from New Orleans and on westward into Lafayette, into Morgan City, into Baton Rouge. In those areas, we could be looking at widespread flooding. And that is also going to lift up into Mississippi and then farther north beyond that into the early part of next week. Let's get out to Paul Goodloe right now. He is live for us in New Orleans. And Paul, we've been watching the winds picking up hour after hour, and they've gotten pretty gusty where you are right now. I know the winds have gusted as high as 62 miles per hour to your south, but getting near tropical storm force there in New Orleans.
Yeah, we're dealing with some 39, 40 mile per hour wind gusts, so that's tropical storm force wind gusts, but not sustained yet. And, we've been talking about this for a while. We've never been too concerned about the wind, but still, tropical storm force winds can and will do some damage. But it's all about the rain, and just showed the latest forecast with this system, and the center is going to stay west of New Orleans, which means we're going to have that right side coming right off the Gulf of Mexico, bringing some surge and also bringing a lot of moisture, seeing as though this system has a lot more moisture on the southern side. It rotates counterclockwise right into this area of southeast Louisiana. So we've been preparing for days across this region for that. And even today, they're finally closing down some of this sea walls or river walls or lake walls as well, all part of the levee protection system here, not only here across the city, dealing with areas close to the river, but also on the northern side of the city and areas close to Lake Pontchartrain as well. And the mayor of New Orleans asked everyone starting at 8 o'clock this evening to stay off the streets. We have a live shot from Bourbon Street. And we were down there last night after we got off the air about midnight local time, and it was packed. And we can pull up the actual current camera. We can kind of show you how it looks like tonight, because I have no idea how it looks. I have no idea. There we go. That's a fraction of the people that were there last night. The streets are wet, but people are still out of there. I don't know how many clubs or bars might be open this evening, but it's a Friday night. And any Friday night in pretty much any other week of the year, you'd see a score of people out there right at that one corner. And because of Tropical Storm Barry, a lot of people have heeded the warnings and stayed off the streets, which is a good thing. We're seeing right now a little break in the rain, but the wind has been persistent. It's been windy really since yesterday. But this rain, we've had a decent bout of some steady rain here. It will continue to increase overnight, and that's the big concern. Flooding, freshwater flooding here in New Orleans. We'll be on top of that and be with you all night long here on the Weather Channel.
Feed your imagination. Feed your excitement. Feed your hunger. When heroes get hungry, they get the $12 extra large superhero pizza at Papa John's.
When I am helping a customer, I need to treat everybody the way I would want them to treat my family. I am a country girl, so that's what we do. I want them to know that I really want to help you. That's what I'm here for. People may not remember what you say, but they always remember how you make them feel. My name is Lola, and I am proud to keep your car running newer, longer.
Fixed right, priced right, right on time. The triple promise, only at Firestone Complete Auto Care.
We're Oscar Mayer Deli Fresh, and you may know us from your very first sandwich. Your mammoth masterpiece, and whatever this was. Because we make our meat with the good of the deli and no artificial preservatives. Make every sandwich count with Oscar Mayer Deli Fresh.
And Doug.
Exactly. Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance, so you only pay for what you need.
Nice. But, what's up with your partner?
Oh, we just spend all day telling everyone how we customize car insurance because no two people are alike, so. Limu gets a little confused when he sees another bird that looks exactly like him. Yeah. He'll figure it out. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Is that net carbs or total? Not enough fiber. Chocolate would be good.
Snacking should be sweet and simple. The delicious taste of Glucerna gives you the sweetness you crave while helping you manage your blood sugar. Glucerna, everyday progress.
I switched from Dodge.
We switched from Ford.
I switched from Ram. I switched to Chevy.
We switched to Chevy. We switched to Chevy.
For dependability.
For technology.
For the muscle.
And just look at it.
Adios, Lexus.
Bye-bye, Ford.
We switched to Chevy.
And I couldn't be happier.
See for yourself why people are switching at the Chevy All-Star Open House.
Or add another Chevy to your driveway. Current GM owners can get over $5,100 below MSRP on this Equinox. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
Every day, millions of people looking for healthy skin reach for Cetaphil, recommended by dermatologists, awarded by Allure, and most of all, loved by skin. Cetaphil, the cleanser sensitive skin loves.
Let's all experience something together. This beer, so pure you can taste it. Michelob Ultra Pure Gold. Beer in its organic form.
It is a mad dash to the finish line, preparing for Tropical Storm Barry.
While it is uncertain what the impact will be, we will be affected, and we need to be prepared, and we are prepared to respond.
South Louisiana floods in three ways: from riverine flooding, rainfall, and from storm surge. And this system is bringing all three of those elements.
Welcome back to Tracking Barry. I'm meteorologist Paul Goodlow, live in New Orleans. We're starting to feel some stronger wind gusts here, but right now the light rain, which we've been dealing with the past 3 hours or so, seeing a small break in that, but the radar still looks like it's going to fill back in as more of this moisture is kind of rotating around the center of Barry and on from southeastern Louisiana through the mouth of Mississippi right into the New Orleans area. That's the big concern. It's Friday night in New Orleans. Should be party time, right? But not so much. In fact, I don't know if we pull the camera back up, but we have a live shot from Bourbon Street, and it looks like a ghost town out there. And we're talking, it's 10 o'clock local time on a Friday night, and there's not too many people out and about. And good thing, because the rainfall, the wind with Tropical Storm Barry will only increase here. The threat is real. This city is below sea level, and there's a threat from the levees leaking or the river overtopping the levees. There's a threat on the north side of town from Lake Pontchartrain and those waters coming in and also stressing the levees there. They've closed all those levees off and the seawalls off, preparing for the worst here. But now I think we're going to be okay on the levee side. It's all about what's going to be coming in with a rotation with Barry coming in off the Gulf of Mexico. How much rain will we see? The models are trending between 3 and maybe 13 or more inches of rain. When you get to that high side, it could be a disaster in this area. But now it's a matter of hoping we can find a dry slot, but we know that time is running out rapidly. We just had the latest updates and advisory of Tropical Storm Barry. Let's go back to lab right now and check in with the latest with Carl Parker.
All right, Paul, thank you so much. And we have the brand new advisory right now from the National Hurricane Center. And so no changes.
No changes, but there was a subtle one. You said that movement slowed down.
Exactly.
What significance is that?
Well, that is really the big worry about this storm, the fact that it's moving slowly. So that's definitely not the direction we want to move in. But, the steering flow here is just not going to be very strong. So, the slow motion of the storm is what is going to make this thing so dangerous. It does not take a strong storm to produce an incredible amount of rain if it's moving very slowly, and that's what's going to be happening in this case. So a 65-mile-per-hour storm right now, moving west-northwest at 3 miles per hour as opposed to 4 miles per hour. That exceptionally slow motion is going to continue into tomorrow. So it's expected to become a low-end hurricane, 75 miles per hour, as it is moving in. That's going to be tomorrow morning. I want you to notice that southernmost forecast point there. That's tomorrow morning. Then take a look at the Sunday morning forecast point. That's 24 hours later. And look how close those points are. So you're talking about moving from southern Louisiana into northern Louisiana in the space of 24 hours. 24 hours is what it's going to take for it to move that far. That is why it's going to amplify everything. We're going to have a longer duration of heavy rain, a longer duration of wind, a longer duration of storm surge as well. Now, it's been kind of a discombobulated storm for a while now. This is the upper level winds that are coming into the north side of the circulation that's been interfering with the circulation. But when you look down to the south, you can see that the clouds are really fanning out very nicely on the south side of that circulation. So it is being ventilated very well in many other areas, even if the outflow is being restricted on the north side there. And so the result has been this huge flare-up of thunderstorms, this just explosion of thunderstorms in the last 12 hours. And so it really is becoming more organized, and there's a terrific amount of deep tropical moisture that is located in those storms that's beginning to wrap around. It's going to be wrapping around the east side and then starting to wrap up and into parts of Louisiana. Here is a high-resolution model forecast showing you how this may happen. It might not be exactly like this. It's meant to give you an idea of how it could happen. So we're looking at 1 o'clock in the morning, and we're watching the core of the storm starting to come in. So the wind is really picking up at this time. The rain is really picking up, rainfall rates of 2 to 3, maybe even 4 inches per hour in some areas. And then I want you to notice, and that, by the way, could be right over New Orleans, or it could be a little farther west. It might not be exactly like this. Then I want you to notice as we go into Saturday evening, same thing. Really hasn't changed very much at all. You've still got this massive rain. You've still got wind. You've got an onshore flow. So you're going to be looking at a push of water coming onshore over several high tide cycles, which are generally going to be in the early afternoon and the early morning hours. And then we'll take it into Sunday morning, and we've still got heavy rain, maybe thinning out some, maybe not quite as concentrated, but still pockets of very heavy rain in areas where there's no doubt going to be flash flooding. I mean, if we could have a future forecast for flash flood warnings, there would be little green boxes all over this area by this time. It's going to be widespread flash flooding, and there could be community-wide flash flooding in some areas. Then even into Sunday afternoon, we are still looking at heavy rain and an onshore flow coming across this area. So it's the long duration of this event that makes it so dangerous. So we're looking at very likely flash flooding in southeastern parts of Louisiana, and that is through the day tomorrow into Sunday morning, but it's not going to be over by Sunday morning. Jennifer, over to you.
Well, here is what we know right now as Tropical Storm Barry closes in on the central Gulf Coast. Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant has declared a state of emergency for areas affected by Tropical Storm Barry. The Rolling Stones say they're moving their Superdome show from Sunday to Monday, and tickets will be honored. And the number keeps going up. Those customers without power. Now the number rising to 21,000 people. Meanwhile, New Orleans tells residents to shelter in place for tonight. So let's check back in with New Orleans, see how the city's looking, and we'll go to Paul Goodlow. He is live, very close to the French Quarter. And Paul, really looks like that wind, because we can hear it now, is really starting to pick up.
Certainly is. I tell you what, it's refreshing because it's still very muggy out here. So you mentioned those 21,000 customers without power. Again, that's a billing point. So that could be 50, 60, 80,000 people without power, which also includes air conditioning, which is a must-have in this part of the world. So to have a breeze out here, it definitely feels good on a muggy night. We've been watching and waiting for a tropical storm. But behind me, we have the Mississippi River here, and great news, the forecast crest of this is a lot lower than the top of the levee. A couple of days ago, they were forecasting a 20-foot crest. The levees are 20 feet tall, and the latest forecast was 19, now revised even lower than that. Let's talk about that, what goes into that. I want to bring in Ricky Boyette from the Army Corps of Engineers. Thanks for joining us this evening. I know we're all watching and waiting to see what's coming this way from Barry, but let's talk about what goes into this river forecast and how it's being revised down to around 17.2 feet. It's amazing because the current level of the river is pretty close to 17 feet right now.
That's exactly it. What we're seeing is, in essence, we've crested. We're going to have a small fall and then a rise with a peak of about 17.1. And for us, that's important because we passed 17.2 feet just a couple months ago. So that even further gives us greater confidence that with regards to the river itself, we'll be able to pass that water safely.
Well, as evident with the forecast going down from 19 to 17.2, it can also be revised back up depending on how much rain kind of moves in here and also how slowly this system moves in and moves that rain out, correct?
You can. Again, this is a forecast. This is what they're seeing. And there's a few things that we're looking at, and we'll watch very carefully. Rain is definitely going to be one. Not only the rain here in New Orleans, but the rain throughout the area, because that ultimately, if it falls within the Mississippi Valley section, it's got to pass through us. And so, when we move through this event, we're still going to be through in a major flood event, and it looks like there is a strong potential that not only can we see small rise in the near future, it looks like we may see an even more extended flood fight.
Yeah, because the drainage basin of the Mississippi extends up through the Missouri, parts of Montana, then eastward on through the Ohio Valley. So the forecast of some of this rain is to give heavy rain into the Ohio Valley. So you guys could be dealing with impacts from Barry even a second time, maybe a couple of weeks from now as well.
That's exactly right. And, we'll stay vigilant. We'll stay out on these levees every day, inspecting them and make sure they'll pass it. But, a couple days ago, we were looking at seeing the fall in our future and maybe finally getting out of the flood fight. And now it looks like we're going to be in it a little longer.
And yesterday we're over on the West Bank, and there were some people who drew our attention to part of the levee that was kind of leaking, kind of seepage coming out to one of the streets. And the word that they were getting from the Army Corps and other first responders was it's nothing to worry about. So if people are still seeing that, again, the levees are sound, it's not something to worry about?
That's right. You know, with an earthen levee system, you're going to have seepage, especially when the water's up against it. The key to it is if the water is moving through and it's clear on the other side, it's not taking the sediment with it, and that's okay. What we always ask, though, is don't assume we know of an area. If you see anything that looks unusual, and the people in this area know this levee system as well as anyone, if they see something that doesn't look right, call us because we check everything out. We'd rather double check it than not know about it.
Yeah, well, great work. Also, one quick question. Is there a certain time that these river forecasts get updated? So when the rain does start, is there a time that we should be looking for your next update of the river forecast?
Sure. So the National Weather Service actually manages the forecasting itself, and typically you'll get it around 10 a.m. And so tonight they issued it earlier. I think with the change, they wanted to go ahead and get it out there. But again, we usually look for it around 10.
Great information. Thanks for your time. That is Ricky Boyette with the Army Corps of Engineers, and the men and women of the Army Corps do a great job trying to keep this area dry from the flooding. I want to go back to the studio and Carl Parker. And Carl, you know, you have the new advisory in, and one thing that is really startling is the forward speed of Tropical Storm Barry. Now we're talking 3 miles per hour. That's walking speed. I mean, 4, you're walking pretty fast. 3, it's not a fast walk, and that means we have a lot more time before this thing can move on out of here.
Yeah, and that amplifies all of the effects. And we've talked a lot about the rain and how much rain we're going to be looking at, but also looking at the wind going on for a long, long period of time. You're talking about a beating for hours and hours on the trees there and saturated soil. So that is going to lead to power outages. A lot of areas now reporting winds gusting into the 30+ mile per hour range. So we're getting very close to seeing a tropical storm force gusts, at least. And then here is a look at the forecast track. And I want to show you the projected winds here, the chance of tropical storm force winds. You'll notice that that area extends well outside of that cone. So it's really important not to look at the cone and say, I'm in the cone, I'm not in the cone. Doesn't matter in this case at all. The cone is simply showing you the track of the center of the storm, but there are impacts that are well outside of that center. It's going to be a large circulation that's coming in. Storm surge. All that wind's going to be pushing water against the coast. Already we've got a water level rise of 3 feet on Lake Pontchartrain. We could see 3 to 5 feet there on Lake Pontchartrain, 3 to 6 feet from Shell Beach down across Plaquemines Parish and farther west as well. And I want to show you a product from the National Hurricane Center. This is potential storm surge flooding. So this is a model that is based on the intensity of the storm. It's based on the local terrain and bathymetry. That's the nature of the seafloor. And so this is the reasonable worst case scenario. And you see a lot of areas where we could be looking at 3 to 6 feet of storm surge flooding from Houma and across 90 there and towards Morgan City. There's a flood wall in Morgan City. But then look at this, along 90 near Franklin, getting into some areas where there's 6 to 9 feet of potential storm surge flooding, and some of that extending across that Highway 90 corridor there. So it could be very serious storm surge flooding there. Then also you notice in New Orleans, all that grayed out area there, that is the elaborate hurricane risk reduction system, a very robust series of walls and floodgates, and that's going to keep the storm surge out in New Orleans. Jan, over to you.
Well, the Mississippi River has been at flood stage since January, and Louisiana's Lieutenant Governor says Tropical Storm Barry may just push the river to the levee's limit.
It wouldn't take much to push that water over the levees. In a normal storm season, that river's down, we've got a lot of room to play with. We don't have that. And those levees have had water against them for almost a year now, So they're soaked. They're not in the best of condition. So this is not the time to have a hurricane approaching Louisiana's coast.
All right, so let's talk a little bit more about the city of New Orleans. And if you've never been there, it's not right along the coast, but it is surrounded by water. It's got the huge lake, Lake Pontchartrain up to the north. And then to the south is the Mississippi River. So again, a lot of water around it. And the city itself is below sea level. So they have these levees. That was indicated by the red outline there. And levees are just built to make sure that that water stays where it should stay. Here is a look at all the levees across the New Orleans area. The city itself and surrounding locations are below sea level, and the city is expecting maybe 8, maybe 10 inches of rainfall. We're watching the river at New Orleans forecast to crest just over 17 feet. So this is something we're certainly going to keep an eye on, as well as the storm surge that's expected to come in.
Every day, millions of people looking for healthy skin reach for Cetaphil, recommended by dermatologists, awarded by Allure, and most of all, loved by skin. Cetaphil, the cleanser sensitive skin loves.
So Kim, you going for a big Drive Safe and Save discount? Yep, using the app. I've been quite vigilant.
Sharon says step on it, the meeting started.
Okay, write her back. Dear Sharon, don't mess with my discount. Faster, Mommy, I gotta go to the bathroom. I do too, honey, but we're gonna hold it for Mommy's discount. Easy, easy.
But you're in labor.
Don't mess with my discount.
Get a discount up to 30% with Drive Safe and Save from State Farm.
Today's Best Western. What does that mean?
With rewards points that never expire, you get free nights fast. Now get a $20 Best Western gift card after your first stay. Book now at bestwestern.com.
Anna, did you make 2 identical purchases of $104 at Cut & Claw?
Capital One knows life doesn't update you about your credit card. So meet Eno, the Capital One assistant that catches things that might look wrong and helps you fix them. Another way Capital One is watching out for your money when you're not. What's in your wallet?
With Domino's Carry-Out Insurance, we'll remake your order for free if anything happens to it on the way home, even if it's not your fault. Like if it's whoever that guy's chasing's fault. Or if it's man's best friend's fault. Or even if it is, ultimately, your fault. Carry out Domino's large 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 each. With Domino's Carry-Out Insurance, just bring it back and we'll remake it for free.
Now you can make any morning of the week feel like the weekend with Jimmy Dean Simple Scrambles, made fresh with 2 real eggs, sausage, and cheese, and ready in seconds.
Why don't you put a Sunday morning shine on tomorrow morning's breakfast?
There were ants everywhere. Everywhere. Thousands of them. And the problem was too big for us, but not for Orkin. And Sarah, she's organized. She's meticulous. She's like a part of the family.
And she can do backflips on the trampoline. Wow.
With worsening weather patterns, an aging vulnerable power grid, and the growing risk of cyber terrorism, power outages are a part of life now. That can be stressful because we depend on power more than ever. When the power goes out, we lose everything. We can't even charge our smartphones. Now more than ever, you need a Generac automatic home standby generator. With Generac, power stays on in your house, even if you're not at home. Generac's automatic home standby generators start at just $19.99. Special financing is available with affordable monthly payments. Plus, with the Generac mobile link, you can check on your generator anytime. Call or go online to schedule your free in-home assessment. And if you act right now, you'll receive our 7-year extended limited warranty, a $695 value, absolutely free. Control your power and control your life with a Generac.
This is epic!
You're watching America's most trusted TV news network.
We've got a severe weather threat. We are live on the ground. Right now, it's coming down.
The Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 77 degrees under fair skies. Tonight, mainly clear skies. Low 72. Winds northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Saturday, sunny skies. High 89. Winds west-northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Saturday night, a mostly clear sky. Low 75. Winds west-southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
No one should take this storm lightly, and I keep using this as a benchmark. You just go back to 2016 when we didn't have a named storm. We didn't have all of the advance warning that we've had today, and we had 56 out of 64 parishes declared a major federal disaster because of those floods. Nobody should take this storm lightly just because it's supposed to be a Category 1 when it makes landfall. The real danger in this storm was never about the wind anyway. It's always been about the rain, and that remains a very significant threat.
That was Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards talking about, don't get caught up in what this storm is or isn't called. It's the impacts. It's the winds will have an impact, but it's also the rain, the water, the fresh water falling from the sky. Part of this state that is literally below sea level. So whatever water falls into the city here in New Orleans has to be physically pumped out to keep it from adding up and just kind of filling up this entire bowl from here back westward and southwestward on through Jefferson Parish. Well, big concern. Tonight in New Orleans, Friday night, should be on and popping, especially in Bourbon Street. We have a live shot of Bourbon Street right now, and we're talking it's what, 10:15, 10:20 in the evening on a Friday, so it should be filled with people enjoying what the city is known for, Bourbon Street. And got to pick up people out there, but it's plenty of room to move around. Yesterday it was standing room only on some of the blocks last night, well after 10 o'clock. So good news is people are heeding the mayor's plea to stay off the streets, stay home after starting at 8 o'clock tonight. So we're 2 hours into that, and still there are a few people out and about. As I look around and look at some of the streets, it's like a ghost town considering it is a Friday night. The bad news of this is money is being lost. The Delta Sigma Theta sorority had their convention scheduled for this week, started on Wednesday and was supposed to end on Sunday. They wrapped it up this afternoon after their elections and installation of officers because it was just too big of a risk. They had over 16,000 people registered for that conference. Then you add in their family and friends, 20+ thousand people could have been impacted by that, so they decided to err on the side of safety. There was no mandatory evacuation here at all. The mayor is saying to shelter in place and ride this one up and be smart, and that's the thing you got to do. If you see flooded roadways, don't drive through it. Don't allow your taxi driver or your Uber driver to go through it as well, and just ride this one out. And it's going to be a rough one as we head throughout the night and into tomorrow for sure. The good news is right now we're seeing a little bit of a dry slot just coming through here. We've had a couple of hours of some steady light rain, but it's that heavy rain that's going to be a big concern. And Carl, I know you're watching the radar at the movement of this system at 3 miles per hour. If we get under one of those heavy bands, it could be a pretty intense event if we have that heavy rain slowly moving on through here for a couple of hours.
Yeah, no question about that, Paul. And, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about water. We've been concerned about water coming from several different sources, and now it looks like less of a threat from the Mississippi River as the forecast crest is going to be a little bit lower now. But when we talk about the storm surge threat, I wonder if you could tell us a little bit more about that really elaborate system that they put in place after Katrina. In this case, it looks like we're probably not going to have much threat from storm surge flooding, and that's because they've got a fantastic system there to protect against that.
Right, and Carl, it's not just here in New Orleans. There's a good chunk of the southeastern Louisiana that has that kind of Katrina-like barrier here against storm surge, and that's what really kind of did in the city is the storm surge from Katrina kind of backed up the river, backed into the canals, and kind of overwhelmed the areas that typically these canals or even parts of the river, they weren't used to having the water kind of go the opposite way and then put more stress physically on the barriers, on the canals, and then the canals and the parts of the walls and the levees would then break and then flood some of the neighborhoods. And we all remember those devastating pictures of this city flooding. And as well as that, flooding some of the pumping stations so you couldn't even get the pumps to work to empty the water out of the city. So it was a disaster. They've spent, I believe it's $15 billion on this type of system, and it's in place to make sure that when the surge does come, because this is Louisiana, the Gulf of Mexico is a stone's throw south of me, we're going to see tropical storms. We're going to see hurricanes, even powerful hurricanes in the future with strong storm surges, and come through here and have that same threat present itself if you didn't have this barrier in place. Also, Carl, this is a man-made system, so it's not foolproof. You know, eventually it could be perhaps outdated. It might have to be risen depending on what happens with our changing climate and the rising ocean. So that's also something that down the road could be a big factor. But right now, it's something that could save a lot of territory here in southeastern Louisiana as the storm surge of Barry approaches as we head over this weekend.
Yeah, you know, and it looks like, you know, the biggest worry at this point is going to be how much rain actually falls from the sky into those areas inside those levees, even though they're protected from the Mississippi and from the Lake Pontchartrain, the surrounding water there. Got an awful lot of rain that is going to be coming in and probably coming right into New Orleans. In fact, I want to show you one of our model forecasts here, and this is showing that area of heavy rain coming right up and into southeast Louisiana tomorrow morning, and it will go for much of the day tomorrow. We'll have much more on this dangerous storm coming right up.
Fruit Loops, a delicious part of this complete breakfast.
Norwegian's Free at Sea lets you choose up to 5 free offers, like free unlimited open bar, free shore excursions, friends and family sail free, and more. Your next vacay awaits from just $1.99. Norwegian Cruise Line. Feel free.
Geico has over 75 years of savings and service.
Whoa.
Travis and IT made it. It's amazing.
Geico
Oh, is that Travis's app? It's pretty cool, isn't it?
There's 2 of them. They're multiplying.
Geico has over 75
guys, it's me.
savings and
See?
service.
No, I'm real. I'm real.
He thinks he's real.
Geico. Over 75 years of savings and service.
Don't miss your golden opportunity to experience our most advanced safety technology on a full line of vehicles. Now at the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event.
Lease the 2019 ES350 for $379 a month for 36 months and we'll make your first month's payment.
Experience amazing.
Discover new San Pellegrino Essenza. A twist of Mediterranean flavors with the gentle bubbles of San Pellegrino. Add a twist of flavor. San Pellegrino Essenza. Tastefully Italian.
Feed your imagination. Feed your excitement. Feed your hunger. When heroes get hungry, they get the $12 extra large superhero pizza at Papa John's.
Not even our competitor's best battery can match the power of Energizer, because Energizer Ultimate Lithium is the longest-lasting AA battery in the world. Energizer, backed by science, matched by no one.
We're Oscar Mayer Deli Fresh, and you may know us from your very first sandwich. Your mammoth masterpiece, and whatever this was. Because we make our meat with the good of the deli and no artificial preservatives. Make every sandwich count with Oscar Mayer Deli Fresh.
Parodontax Complete Protection. If you see traces of blood when you brush or floss, which kind of toothpaste do you choose? One for healthy gums or one for strong teeth? You don't have to choose. Complete Protection from Parodontax has 8 designed benefits for healthy gums and strong teeth. Take control and leave bleeding gums behind with Complete Protection from Parodontax.
All money managers might seem the same, but some give their clients cookie-cutter portfolios. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to your goals and needs. Some only call when they have something to sell. Fisher calls regularly, so you stay informed. And while some advisors are happy to earn commissions whether you do well or not, Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when you do better. Maybe that's why most of our clients come from other money managers. Fisher Investments, clearly better money management.
Try Target same-day delivery. Deliver to your door so you can do more. More thrills.
More skill, more chill. Target run and done.
With trusted protection for all-out confidence, Depend Silhouette Briefs feature maximum absorbency, beautiful colors, and an improved fit for a sleek design and personal style. Life's better when you're in it. Be there with Depend.
We want to show you this new video just in of the surge that is already pushing up on shore in Golden Meadow, Louisiana. That is kind of on your way to Grand Isle, well to the south of New Orleans. And again, that the storm surge is just really coming in. And look at the wind creating white caps over the road. Those are mailboxes. You can see them there. There you can see the water up to the wheels of that boat trailer. Again, a tremendous amount of push or rise of water going already across the southern portions of Louisiana. There you can see barely picking out the road with the line there just as that water washes up. Well, we'll continuing to watch the situation here across southern Louisiana. And thank you so much for staying with us for our special extended live coverage of Tropical Storm Barry. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Lopez in the lab tonight with our storm specialist, Carl Parker. Here is what we know right now as Tropical Storm Barry is getting closer towards the Gulf Coast. The Mississippi Governor, Phil Bryant, has declared a state of emergency for areas affected by Tropical Storm Barry. Frontier, JetBlue, Southwest Airlines have all canceled their flights in and out of New Orleans tomorrow, and about 27,000 customers are without power right now in Louisiana. That number keeps rising. New Orleans telling residents to shelter in place tonight. Let's take you right now to New Orleans, and that is where we find our own Paul Goodlow. And Paul, you've been there throughout the day. I'm sure you've been talking to a lot of people. What are some of their concerns with Tropical Storm Barry as it comes closer towards New Orleans?
Their concerns all across the board, Jen, have been, is it going to flood? How much rain are we going to get? Is it going to flood? At our hotel, a lot of the Deltas and their families are staying there from the convention that just wrapped up early today. But some were coming in town Wednesday morning when we had 6 to 10 inches of rain in 3 hours, causing flooding. And many couldn't get here for a little while because some of the exits off the highway were blocked because they're coming right down into a couple of feet of standing water and dozens of stalled cars as well. So even people who have just gotten here a couple of days ago got a first-hand treat of what this city can do in terms of getting heavy rain in a short amount of time and how quickly it can flood across the area. So a lot of questions have been, how bad will it be? What about the rain? Will we see the flooding? And I tell them we don't know yet, but that is the biggest threat. Not so much the wind. It's going to cause some damage, but the flooding can devastate this area much more than the wind can because they're so vulnerable to that rain. The mayor asked people to prepare. In fact, people are out still sandbagging today. They're closing up some of the barriers here along some of the seawalls, trying to protect areas of downtown, but not just across protecting from the river, also protecting from the lake. They're definitely doing sandbags all around the area, trying to prepare. In some places that got flooded, even on Canal Street on Wednesday, we're also boarding up or putting sandbags down. And this is, maybe a block from Bourbon Street as well. They were still preparing last night as well. In fact, you have a live shot of Bourbon Street. And on a Friday night at 10:32 in the evening, Bourbon Street should be packed. But right now, there's a sprinkling of people out there. The good news is a lot of people are heeding the mayor's warning to stay off the street starting at 8 o'clock tonight. And give it a day or two, or give it a week. Things will be better as we head into next week and certainly next weekend as well. But even the Rolling Stones, they had to move their concert from Sunday to Monday at the Superdome just because of this approaching Tropical Storm Barry. And the big concern is, we had some rain, but there's a lot more to come. And this is a slow-moving system. And I go back to the lab with Carl Parker. And Carl, again, 3 miles per hour here. That's painstaking. Yeah. And for the next 24 hours, this thing isn't going to move very much, which means if areas even south of here, some of the southern parishes get into that rain, we could see flooding, say, by daybreak.
Yeah, it's going to make everything last so much longer, Paul. No question about that. And that includes the storm surge. And again, we have this new video showing that surge already making its way into Golden Meadow in Louisiana. This is just remarkable footage here. You see the water being pushed along by the wind. The winds have been gusting as high as 50, 60 miles per hour there in parts of Plaquemines Parish. And you know, part of what is happening here in Louisiana is that there is subsidence. Louisiana is sinking on average by about 9 millimeters per year, and part of the reason for that is the levees that have been built up around the Mississippi River. Normally, without levees, all that sediment that comes down the Mississippi would spread out, and that helps to replenish the land, that alluvial fan that forms Louisiana's coastline there. But now the levees are containing that, and that's part of the reason for this subsidence. Just incredible footage, and it's only going to get worse from here. Much more coverage on Barry on the other side of the break.
When I am helping a customer, I need to treat everybody the way I would want them to treat my family. I am a country girl, so that's what we do. I want them to know that I really want to help you. That's what I'm here for. People may not remember what you say, but they always remember how you make them feel. My name is Lola, and I am proud to keep your car running newer, longer.
Fixed right, priced right, right on time. The Triple Promise, only at Firestone Complete Auto Care.
How pure can pure be? Our 12-step process provides 100% pure quality water. Look for kids packs from Nestle Pure Life. Fun designs and a perfect size just for your kids.
July 16th is IHOP's Paniversary, so we're going back to 1950s prices and 1950s lingo. So get a move on, Daddy-O. These 58-cent short stacks, the bee's knees, the tops, total aces. July 16th, 58-cent short stacks, people.
With advanced automotive technology available on the Nissan Rogue, you'll be equipped to help protect the moments that matter most. This is tech that gives you confidence. This is Nissan Intelligent Mobility.
If you have moderate to severe psoriasis, little things can be a big deal. That's why there's Otezla. Otezla is not a cream. It's a pill that treats plaque psoriasis differently. With Otezla, 75% clearer skin is achievable. Don't use if you're allergic to Otezla. It may cause severe diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting. Otezla is associated with an increased risk of depression. Tell your doctor if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts, or if these feelings develop. Some people taking Otezla reported weight loss. Your doctor should monitor your weight and may stop treatment. Upper respiratory tract infection and headache may occur. Tell your doctor about your medicines and if you're pregnant or planning to be. Otezla, show more of you.
This is the story of John Smith. Not this John Smith. Or this John Smith. Or any of the other hundreds of John Smiths that are Humana Medicare Advantage members. No, it's this John Smith, who we paired with a Humana team member to help address his own specific health needs. At Humana, we take a personal approach to your health to provide care that's just as unique as you are, no matter what your name is.
I count on Blue Emu to give me relief for the arthritis in my hands. Forget the imitators. There's only one Blue Emu. Get American-made Blue Emu. It works fast and you won't stink.
We are continuing to track Tropical Storm Barry, the center of circulation about 75 miles to the south of Morgan City in Louisiana. The winds are up to 65 miles an hour. We have had a few reports of gusts right along the coast of Louisiana of just over 60 miles an hour. It is slow-moving storm, now moving west-northwest at about 3 miles per hour. Really starting tomorrow morning. It may be up toward, that would be Sunday morning. So this is all up into Mississippi, parts of Alabama. And then as we get into the end of the weekend and into the beginning of the next week, going even farther to the north. So again, that is the latest information on Tropical Storm Barry. And Barry's torrential rain is certain to cause flooding throughout Louisiana. The flooding is dangerous enough, but as Louisiana Senator John Kennedy warns, what's in the water can also hurt you.
You guys would know better than I would, but what we're worried about is the rain. 10, 15, 25 inches. I don't care if you live on Pikes Peak. You get that kind of rain in a couple of days, you've got a chance of flooding. Stay out of the water. You know, it's toxic.
Yeah, some good advice there as that rain is expected to really pile up. Now, the brunt of the storm, the brunt of the moisture, not so much onshore, but we'll start to see that go in as we head into tomorrow. Again, there's the projected path of Barry, taking it up towards Baton Rouge and then farther to the north as we go into late Sunday and into Monday. A tremendous amount of rain is anticipated here across Louisiana. But look at where another area of rainfall here across Mississippi. And you know what? Mississippi may not even see the center of circulation go over its state, but it could be seeing anywhere from 5 to 8 inches of rainfall. This area, again, it has had numerous tropical cyclones come through and dump a lot of rain. More memorable ones is back in '97 here in Alabama, where they saw more than 37 inches of rain. This is a look at the radar. And again, as we go through the night, we'll continue to see some of this rain come through. But then as we head into tomorrow and throughout the day tomorrow, we're going to see a lot of that moisture really start to build in across Louisiana, Mississippi, and pushing up into Arkansas. So there is a high concern for not just the heavy amount, but what it'll do. It'll lead to some flash flooding, and that is likely to occur from Baton Rouge down to Morgan City, Houma, Louisiana. All these places could get hit hard with some high amounts of water. Again, looking at a little closer view, showing that moisture coming in as we move into, here we've stopped it at Saturday afternoon. And we see all that rain across much of southern Mississippi, southern Louisiana. And how much rain? Well, some areas could see up to a foot of rainfall here. About 10,000 people in Plaquemines Parish in Louisiana, it's the low-lying southeastern tip, have been ordered to evacuate. And even though many residents have seen what can happen when massive flooding hits their parish, some of them have decided to stay and take their chances.
Though Tropical Storm Barry is not supposed to land until sometime Saturday morning, you could see the outer bands beginning to make their way here into Plaquemines Parish, which is south of New Orleans. It's the finger of Louisiana, and this is a mandatory evacuation here. You see, this is the Mississippi River splashing up. This levee here, not too far until this water hits the top. That's the fear for so many residents, that this water will go over the levee and go into their homes and flood roads. Many people who just decided yesterday not to leave are now packing up and going.
The river is right there.
Miriam Hemlock lives just feet from the Mississippi River and wasn't going to follow the mandatory evacuations.
Look at the water.
Until she walked up on the levee this morning and saw this.
The river is too high and it's very dangerous, and we're scared we get flooding.
Down the road in Myrtle Grove, the Army National Guard and prison inmates are building sandbag walls in case water rises on Barataria Bay. Charles Belay is one of the owners of the marina here and has concerns.
I guess the uncertainty of how bad it may be, if it may intensify.
With sustained winds picking up and an expected epic drenching of the region.
Depends how high the water might come up. I think we believe the winds will not get that bad. You still could have some damage to rooftops and tarps and things, patio covers and all, but I don't see a lot of extensive damage in this area.
Mailwoman Lauren Richardson wrapped up her shift on Friday. She and her family have decided to stay, but
if it gets worse, I mean, I'm not afraid to jump ship and take off, so, but we're not planning to right now.
For Miriam Hemlock, who did not evacuate during Hurricane Katrina 14 years ago and lost vehicles and her home, The risk is just too heavy.
I don't want to take chances this time.
In Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, Robert Ray, The Weather Channel.
Discover new San Pellegrino Essenza, a twist of Mediterranean flavors with the gentle bubbles of San Pellegrino. Add a twist of flavor. San Pellegrino Essenza, tastefully Italian.
Capital One knows life doesn't update you about your credit card. So meet Eno, the Capital One assistant that catches things that might look wrong and helps you fix them. Another way Capital One is watching out for your money when you're not. What's in your wallet?
Today's Best Western. What does that mean?
With rewards points that never expire, you get free nights fast. Now get a $20 Best Western gift card after your first day. Book now at bestwestern.com.
With Domino's Carry-Out Insurance, we'll remake your order for free if anything happens to it on the way home, even if it's not your fault. Like if it's whoever that guy's chasing's fault. Or if it's man's best friend's fault. Or even if it is, ultimately, your fault. Carry out Domino's large 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 each. With Domino's Carry-Out Insurance, just bring it back and we'll remake it for free.
Want a relaxing pedicure?
Relaxing pedicure? My feet get so dry and cracked, I need serious relief. That's why I use O'Keeffe's for healthy feet. Guaranteed relief for extremely dry, cracked feet. Thanks to O'Keeffe's, I got my feet back.
Well, it finally happened, Zachary. Somebody burned down my she shed.
The she shed was struck by lightning.
Is my she shed covered by State Farm?
Your she shed's covered, Cheryl.
That's wonderful news.
Home insurance trusted by more people than any other. State Farm.
So now, Dish has over 80,000 on-demand movies and shows. 80,000. Thing is, it's not about 8. But that one girl. That's why.
Dish. Tuned in to you.
Men, want to feel younger, stronger, leaner? You don't have to slow down after 40. Frank Thomas found the secret to staying in shape with the energy and drive of his 20s.
Man, you look like you could still hit it a mile.
I feel great, too.
What gives?
After 40, men slow down. It's harder to stay in shape.
Why?
Our free testosterone levels drop. It happened to me. And then I found Nugenix Total T.
New Nugenix Total T is our most powerful man-boosting formula ever because it boosts your free testosterone and your total testosterone. Nugenix Total T helps provide even more energy, performance, testosterone, and muscle-boosting ingredients for even better results. To get your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, text PEP to 231231. Samples are not available in stores.
Why wait? Well, you can do something about it now.
I got to try Nugenix Total T.
Text PEP to 231231 now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. That's PEP to 231231.
This is epic!
You're watching America's most trusted TV news network.
We've got a severe weather threat. We are live on the ground. Right now, it's coming down.
The Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 77 degrees under clear skies. Tonight, mainly clear skies. Low 72. Winds northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Saturday, sunny skies. High 89. Winds west-northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Saturday night, a mostly clear sky. Low 75. Winds west-southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Barry is a very slow-moving and strengthening storm.
hurricane warnings are up, and both wind and water will be life-threatening hazards at the coast and inland. Torrential rains could flood entire communities near the coast and eventually hundreds of miles inland for days after landfall. To stay alive, stay out of the water. Don't drive onto any water-covered roads. Turn around. Don't drown. If you're trapped in your home by floodwaters, call 911 and stay out of storm surge by evacuating as instructed by local officials. And watch out for falling trees, which can take out power as strong winds move across areas where the soil is already saturated. Don't underestimate this storm. That could be a deadly mistake. Let's get ready, stay dry, and live to help one another through the aftermath of whatever comes our way.
Great advice from our hurricane expert, Dr. Rick Knabb, also former director of the National Hurricane Center as well. Welcome back to our coverage of Tracking Barry. Meteorologist Paul Goodell live in New Orleans, and right now we're seeing a little bit of dry time compared to the hours of rain we just kind of went through. And even for a little while, I looked up and I saw a little bit of the moon, and off to the left, the planet of Jupiter up there from time to time. But now I'm seeing a few more clouds race by the moon right now. Let's take a live look at the mayor of New Orleans asked everyone a Friday night at almost 11 o'clock local time. So that 2-block stretch where it was truly standing, but no fair. I mean, as we head on towards later on next weekend, things will be the Superdome on Sunday was moved to go back to the studio now in the lab, and Carl Parker. And Carl, I know the advisory just came out a little while ago. The thing that was really shocking is it's still a 65-mile-per-hour tropical storm, but it is barely moving. People can walk faster than the forward pace that this storm is moving. So the longer it lingers, the longer duration we have to be in the wind and the rain, and in some areas even storm surge.
Yeah, and this is something that's been showing up more in recent years. There's been a lot of research about that, Paul, about the fact that tropical cyclones worldwide have been slowing down because the upper level winds have also been slowing down. And these slow moving systems can really wreak havoc because all of the impacts last that much longer. And this is the advisory from 10 p.m. Central Time, 65-mile-per-hour storm. It's expected to become a hurricane, seeing a big burst of convection right now. And as Paul mentioned, moving west-northwest at 3 miles per hour. So look at this right in there. This is looking at an infrared satellite picture, and I want you to pay attention to that area right there. That big burst right there is an area of very tall thunderstorms that is bursting near the center. So that is the center trying to become more organized. There's been really strong wind coming into the system over the last couple of days, injecting drier air into the system and also shearing it a little bit, as we say. It's kind of moving. The tropical cyclone has to be a big heat engine where it brings in warm and humid air, and that comes up through the middle of the storm and then comes out at the top. And if there's wind coming into that, it's going to interfere with that circulation. That's what's been going on in the last couple of days. Well, now that wind is beginning to lessen a little bit. It's beginning to back off. And so we're seeing this big bursting of thunderstorms near the center. So that's yet another sign that it is getting stronger right now, that we are seeing some intensification, and we've got some showers trying to wrap into the coast, but the main event really isn't going to begin until tomorrow. But talking about that slow motion, that has huge implications for the amount of rain that we get, but also the amount of wind that we get, the duration of the wind. The wind's already gusting well over 30 miles per hour in many locations across southern Louisiana. Think about this. The core of this storm comes in during the day tomorrow, very slowly moves up through Louisiana over 24 hours. So from the middle of the day Saturday to the middle of the day Sunday, it moves from southern Louisiana to northern Louisiana. So the wind goes on and on and on and on, and on saturated ground, trees are going to begin to come down, which is going to mean widespread power outages in parts of Louisiana and also in Mississippi. That is something we're definitely concerned about. Also, storm surge. We're going to be looking at storm surge over several high tide cycles because, again, it's going to be a long duration event. Already a water level rise of 3 feet at Lake Pontchartrain. There is a storm surge warning for the non-levied areas along Lake Pontchartrain that was also extended farther to the east into parts of Mississippi. And looking at the potential storm surge flooding, this is a product from the National Hurricane Center. This is the reasonable worst case scenario. What we see is storm surge flooding of up to 6 feet and across parts of Highway 90 here near Franklin. So Jennifer, looks like it's going to be pretty rough in some parts of southern Louisiana.
All right, make sure you stay with us because our special coverage is going to continue at the top of the hour. When we come back, we're going to break down how this storm could impact New Orleans.
Teeth sensitivity is so common. Drinking or sipping the hot and cold water, it feels like, somebody's poking directly on the nerve. I recommend Sensodyne. Sensodyne goes inside the tooth and calms the nerve. My patients come back to me and say, doc, it really works.
Feed your imagination. Feed your excitement. Feed your hunger. When heroes get hungry, they get the $12 extra large superhero pizza at Papa John's.
Exactly. Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance, so you only pay for what you need.
Nice. But, what's up with your partner?
Not again. Mimo, that's your reflection. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Life doesn't give you many second chances. But a Subaru can.
You guys okay? You all right?
Eyesight with pre-collision braking, standard on the Subaru Ascent. Presenting the 3-row Subaru Ascent. Love is now bigger than ever.
We're Oscar Mayer Deli Fresh, and you may know us from your very first sandwich. Your mammoth masterpiece, and whatever this was. Because we make our meat with the good of the deli and no artificial preservatives. Make every sandwich count with Oscar Mayer Deli Fresh.
If you live with diabetes, why fingerstick when you can scan? With the Freestyle Libre 14-day system, just scan the sensor with your reader, iPhone, or Android and manage your diabetes. With the Freestyle Libre 14-day system, a continuous glucose monitor, you can check your glucose levels anytime without fingersticks. Ask your doctor to write a prescription for the Freestyle Libre 14-day system. You can do it without fingersticks. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
Let's all experience something together. This beer, so pure you can taste it. Michelob Ultra Pure Gold. Beer in its organic form.
Honey, time to go.
Guess what?
What?
Coach said I get to play forward today.
Wow.
If I score a goal, I'm gonna go like this. Oh yeah. Then I'm gonna do something like this. And oh yeah, it's your turn to
bring this.
How many teammates do you have again?
Frito-Lay variety packs, packed with possibilities.
It is a mad dash to the finish line, preparing for Tropical Storm Barry.
While it is uncertain what the impact will be, we will be affected, and we need to be prepared, and we are prepared to respond.
South Louisiana floods in 3 ways: from riverine flooding, rainfall, and from storm surge. This system is bringing all 3 of those elements.
Welcome back to Tracking Barry. I'm meteorologist Paul Goodell live in New Orleans, where the wind really has been kicking up despite the fact that the rain that we've been dealing with, light rain for much of this evening, has tapered off right now. Looking up, I do see the moon and even the star to the left of the moon, Jupiter, in view from time to time between some of the fast-moving clouds overhead. But the concern is, we still have a long way to go before Barry is in and out of here. And you saw moments ago people talking about how this will impact New Orleans. We're talking from the river, from the lake, and also from the sky. That's how this place floods. And flooding is always a concern because we're below sea level in New Orleans. So whatever rain does fall has to be physically pumped out of New Orleans to keep this city dry and safe from flooding. And we had some heavy rain a couple of days ago, and it showed you what can happen in a short amount of time. 6 to 10 inches of rain from a slow-moving thunderstorm. Not a slow-moving tropical storm, just a thunderstorm did that and did quite a bit of damage to some areas of the city. So now we're dealing with a slow-moving tropical storm, which could inundate parts of southeast Louisiana, even Mississippi, with rainfall rates of maybe an inch or 2 or 3 an hour as it moves on through here. So again, this is just not a concern for New Orleans, even though I'm here in New Orleans. It's a concern for all of Louisiana and even a good chunk of Mississippi, and then northward into Arkansas over the next several days as Barry and the moisture continue to move on shore and then move inland as well. And all this will be through this weekend and into even Monday and Tuesday. So this is a long duration event we're dealing with. It's Tropical Storm Barry, but you go back to the studio with Carl and Jennifer Lopez, but this is also forecast to potentially become a hurricane before it makes landfall as well. So adding a few more degrees of torture in terms of the potential for rain and also storm surge along the coast.
Yeah, it's going to really have a lot to look at as we go through, not just tonight, but also through the weekend. So, Carl, as we head into the weekend, Paul was mentioning the duration, the long duration. Do we have this fear that it's going to move into Louisiana and just sit there for a few days?
Well,
something going to come in and push it away?
Yeah, it looks like it is going to be sort of teed up. There's a ridge of high pressure off to the east, and that's probably going to sort of push it up initially towards the northwest and then more towards the north. So it should move.
Should move. That's always good.
But the motion is going to be very, very slow. It's going to take a full day to make it from southern Louisiana into northern Louisiana. And that is just going to amplify everything. That's going to make it last so much longer. And we're talking about the rain and the wind and the surge, all of those impacts. A 65-mile-per-hour tropical storm right now, moving west-northwest at 3 miles per hour. Here you see the agonizingly slow forward speed of the storm. Could be a low-end hurricane, which is a very formidable storm coming into the Louisiana coastline earlier tomorrow, slowly moving up through Louisiana into Sunday. Now, we've been watching wind shear, very strong winds coming out of the north, affecting the circulation, impinging on the circulation over the last day or so, and that's part of why it didn't get stronger sooner. But notice also, you see how the high clouds are kind of fanning out on the south side, all the way down into the southern part of the Gulf of Mexico, the Bay of Campeche down there. So you've got a lot of very favorable conditions outside of what's going on to the north, and that's actually getting better by the hour. That shear is beginning to lessen right now. And in response, you can see this tremendous blow up of thunderstorms that's happened over the last 6 hours, and most notably one that is very close to the center of circulation. So it looks like finally the center is now starting to consolidate thunderstorms about it, and that is a sure sign of strengthening when that happens. That's why we think this thing could very well become a hurricane, and maybe even up another couple of notches beyond that. Maybe not just a minimal hurricane or a low-end hurricane, which is still an incredibly strong storm. Maybe it even comes up another 5 miles per hour before it finally moves in. Here you see that we've got some showers kind of wrapping in around that center of circulation, but most of the activity is well offshore, but it is slowly going to come in tomorrow. And this is a model depiction of that. Now, this model depiction may not be exactly right. It's not meant to show you exactly what's going to happen tomorrow, but it's probably going to be pretty close to this. So this is meant to give you an idea of how this is going to go down. We go into 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You see the heavy rain coming into areas maybe around New Orleans, certainly points west towards Lafayette, Baton Rouge, towards Morgan City. really, really heavy rain, very strong wind, tropical storm force wind, gusting to perhaps hurricane force in some of those heavier showers. That really gets going through the middle of the day tomorrow. But then watch this. It continues right into the evening as well in very much the same areas because, again, it's just not moving at all. And then it continues into Sunday morning. The rainfall rate's probably backing off a little bit, but you've still got an onshore flow. You've still got potential for storm surge. We've still got heavy rain coming down in a lot of the very same areas. So there are going to be widespread flash flood warnings going into late Saturday, going into early Sunday. That is the number one threat. Life-threatening flash flooding is the number one threat. But also we're going to be looking at storm surge, 3 to 6 feet along the coast. And again, those gusty winds and trees and power lines coming down as a result. Jennifer, over to you.
Okay, here is what we know right now as Tropical Storm Barry closes in on the central Gulf Coast. President Trump has approved a federal emergency declaration for Louisiana. Frontier, JetBlue, and Southwest Airlines have canceled all flights in and out of New Orleans for tomorrow. About 29,000 customers are without power in the state of Louisiana as we speak, and the Rolling Stones have moved their Sunday Superdome show to Monday. Let's take you into New Orleans, and that is where we find Paul Goodloe live for us this hour. And Paul, I just have to mention that you've been with us for a few hours, and you had one hat on, and then you went to a baseball cap, and now you just said, you know what, no hat at all. Is that because the wind's starting to really pick up?
No, I brought the clothes with me, Jen, so it's all about a wardrobe change, right? I'm thinking it's the Oscars. No, it is because of the wind. I had my waterproof hat on because it was raining, and now you spoke it into existence. A few more drops are coming down right now, but it's so windy right now, even the ball cap can just fly off, and then it's a victim of Barry here, so I took that off as well. And it actually feels nice when it's not raining because the air temperature is about 82 degrees, dew point 77 or so. So it's a nice, comfortable breeze here. You mentioned 29,000 customers in the state without power, but a customer's a billing point. So you could have families of 4 or 5 or even an apartment building of 30 people, all without power, all without air conditioning, and it'll be difficult to restore that power until the wind dies down, until the rain stops. So there are crews out there that have been pre-positioned to make sure that they're in position to restore power, but we got to do it after the storm or when it's safe. So it could be a while before people have that power back on as well. Here in New Orleans, the mayor asked people to stay off the streets starting at 8 o'clock tonight. A lot of people have done that because earlier today they were on the streets preparing. Business owners, homeowners putting sandbags up because of the threat for flooding here. Not so much from the lake or from the river, just from the rain coming down from the sky here. Right now we're seeing a little bit of light rain come through, but we had like about 1 hour of some moderate rain earlier this afternoon, but outside of that it's been on and off and it's been light. You can take a look at a live shot of Bourbon streets here in the French Quarter just off to my right. Normally on a Friday evening it is on and popping, but tonight see a scattering of people, but nothing like what was down there last night. We took a stroll down there after midnight last night, and it was still packed. 1 or 2 blocks, we're talking standing room only. Today, you could have your choice of places to stand. I'm not even sure if the bars and clubs are open tonight, but there's not nearly as many people were there or would be there on a typical Friday night, and that's a good thing. I know it's bad for business, but, we can always make more money, right? It's difficult to replace people's lives, and that's what could be at risk if people don't heed the warnings and don't stay out of floodwaters. That's the ongoing concern across this region because it's definitely a big threat with the rain. I want to go back to lab now and Carl Parker. And Carl, some of the rainfall forecasts have been kind of bullish and some have been backing off on what will fall here in New Orleans. Let's kind of talk about that because we've been going between the European model and the American model, the GFS. So what's the consensus now? Is the European still bullish on rain a little farther to the west of New Orleans, and the American kind of bullish on kind of a little farther east, including a bigger chunk of New Orleans, seeing the heavier rain?
I think a lot of the consensus has been just a little bit farther to the west. I think that's where, much of it has been. If you look at the European model, you look at the ensemble members, many of those are a little farther to the west. In fact, I think I've got that graphic right in here. And so, that certainly is encouraging as regards New Orleans. The GFS still is a little bit closer to New Orleans, still showing more of that axis of heaviest rain over New Orleans. Some of our other models, the NAM, for example, the most recent run of that, does bring very heavy rain right up and across New Orleans. Some of the mesoscale models are also farther west. They're the RPM model and also the HWRF take the storm more along the coast and then bring it up. So there's still some discrepancy there as to exactly where the system is going to go. It may be that the heaviest rain is just west of New Orleans, but it looks like it's almost certainly going to be coming up towards Lafayette and probably Baton Rouge. Almost certainly those areas are going to get hit by very heavy rain from this storm. Now, we've talked about the long duration of the event. I want to show you the winds that are going on right now. This is a big part of the story as well. Winds now gusting to 38 miles per hour in New Orleans, 35 in Patterson, and this sort of drubbing is going to continue right through the day tomorrow and then right into Sunday as well. And so looking at the probability of tropical storm force winds, you see where that is highest, that from New Orleans and then across I-10 there, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, also along Highway 90, Morgan City, almost out to Lake Charles. In these areas, it's not just going to be a quick, 6-hour thing. It's going to be a day and a half of a beating of rain from this storm. And so, where a tree might have been able to withstand 6 hours, it's not going to be able to withstand 18 hours in some cases. And trees are going to come down, especially with saturated soil. You've got soil that's full of water that loosens up the root systems, which means trees are going to fall more easily and power outages are going to be more likely. So this is another way in which the impacts become amplified by the duration of the event. Storm surge is another example of that. It's not just going to be one high tide cycle. It's going to be several high tide cycles. We've got a water level rise of 2.9 feet already right now in New Orleans. Let's take a look at the winds, because the wind is what is going to be driving the storm surge. And so we'll go into the middle of the day tomorrow. That is roughly when we're going to see the high tide. And you see that wind driving up from the south, pushing right into southeastern Louisiana, into Plaquemines Parish and westward towards Morgan City. Then we'll go another 12 hours later, another high tide early in the morning, overnight on Sunday. And again, you've got an onshore push. And then even into the following day, around the middle of the day, another high tide cycle, and you've still got an onshore flow. So it's going to be, again, a long duration of all of these different types of impacts. Jennifer, over to you.
Well, many people are concerned with the levee system around New Orleans. Can it handle all this water? We spoke to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers earlier today.
We've been in a flood fight for 200 days. We've been in what we would consider a significant flood fight since February. If there's a silver lining, that is that we've been on those levees every day inspecting, making sure that anything that could be a problem is addressed before it is a problem. So that's why we're so confident the levee system can do what it can do.
Let's talk a little bit more about the city of New Orleans. If you're not too familiar with it, most of the city is below sea level, but it's surrounded by water. It's not so much along the coast. It has the Mississippi River to the south, and then to the north, a giant lake. It's Lake Pontchartrain. And to protect the city, there are levees surrounding the city of New Orleans, which are man-made structures to protect water from coming into the city. So there you can see in the outlines of red all the levees across this area. Again, here's Lake Pontchartrain. To the south is the river. There you see the city of New Orleans, which is below sea level. So again, big concern with the storm surge coming in, and then just the tremendous amount of rain that we're going to see inside the city and across southern Louisiana. Here's a look at the river forecast for the Mississippi. This keeps changing, and it keeps changing in a great direction. It goes down. Forecast crest is coming up in a few days at just over 17 feet. That is significant because the levees are built to withstand a 20-foot crest. So again, if it's forecast to come to a 17-foot crest, I think we might be in okay shape. However, the storm surge is still going to be a problem, especially right along the coast. That's where we'll see the higher amounts, 3 to 6 feet. But also up here across portions of Lake Pontchartrain, we could also be seeing some storm surge as well. So again, the city of New Orleans still expected to get dumped on with a lot of rain as the storm passes through. And again, it sits below sea level. So that is a big concern. If you don't have to go out in this mess, again, the folks don't want you out there driving around running those errands. Just try to stay inside, especially throughout tomorrow as we see the bulk of the moisture coming through. A lot more still to come tonight on our special coverage of Tropical Storm Barry.
Stouffer's lasagna with meat and sauce has 2 times the beef of the leading meat sauce lasagna. That's double the tender ground beef baked into every cheesy, mouth-watering bite. When it comes to irresistible taste, more is always more. Stouffer's.
Let's see. Aleve is proven better on pain than Tylenol Extra Strength and lasts longer with fewer pills. So why am I still thinking about this? I'll take Aleve.
Aleve, proven better on pain.
You can't fake the goodness of real strawberries, the crunch of real almonds, how chocolatey chunks taste in cold milk. We keep it real because you can't fake delicious. Special K.
With Domino's Carry-Out Insurance, we'll remake your order for free if anything happens to it on the way home, even if it's not your fault, like if it's whoever that guy's chasing's fault. Or if it's man's best friend's fault. Or even if it is, ultimately, your fault. Carry out Domino's large 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 each. With Domino's Carry-Out Insurance, just bring it back and we'll remake it for free.
Not even our competitor's best battery can match the power of Energizer, because Energizer Ultimate Lithium is the longest-lasting AA battery in the world. Energizer, backed by science, matched by no one.
Anna, did you make 2 identical purchases of $104 at Cotton Cloth?
Capital One knows life doesn't update you about your credit card. So meet Eno, the Capital One assistant that catches things that might look wrong and helps you fix them. Another way Capital One is watching out for your money when you're not. What's in your wallet?
So now, Dish has over 80,000 on-demand movies and shows. 80,000. Why? I mean, it would take you years to get through 80,000. Thing is, it's not about 80,000. It's about one. That one movie you saw that one time on a first date with that one girl. That's why.
Dish. Tuned in to you.
Owe the IRS back taxes? Who can you count on? Jackson Hewitt. With 35 years of trusted tax experience, count on us to take immediate action to help. You'll get a free consultation, plus $100 back if you don't like the options we present. That's right, $100 back. You can relax and live your life. We'll work directly with the IRS so you don't have to. Call or visit jacksonhewitt.com for your free consultation today.
Thank you so much.
New purple, eh, Deb?
He's always wanted to try one. Well, they have a 100-night trial, so...
Everyone wants to sleep better and can. Purple makes it easy with free shipping and our 100-night trial. For a limited time, choose a free Purple product with mattress purchase at purple.com/TV.
Within our worst natural disasters are unseen stories of survival. New episodes of Defying Death, Heroes and Survivors, Sunday nights at 9, here on the Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 77 degrees under fair skies. Overnight, generally clear skies, low 72. Winds northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Saturday, a mainly sunny sky. High 89. Winds west-northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Saturday night, a mostly clear sky. Low 75. Winds west-southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Well, storm surge will be one of the biggest threats from this storm. Now, earlier, the National Hurricane Center Director Ken Graham explained why that threat could last long after Barry makes landfall.
Some areas, it's so important that we communicate. Some of the areas you'll see their highest storm surge early on towards landfall, but there's cases where you might see the highest storm surge, 5 or 6 feet in areas around Plaquemines Parish on the West Bank. That could come, after landfall. That could come 12, 18, even 20 hours later. So trying to communicate the complexity of this area with the storm surge is always tough.
All right, let's go into Louisiana and go to New Orleans. That is where we find meteorologist Paul Goodloe. And Paul, you've been there for a while. Now, but you've also covered.
Jen, that's a good question because this whole trip has had a kind of a hectic and harrowing kind of feel to it as we get hit by a pretty strong wind gust right now. Because I flew in here Wednesday morning, and we have some video of what happened Wednesday morning, and was horrific flooding going on. I looked at the radar. My flight was delayed leaving Atlanta, and I'm watching thunderstorm kind of pop up over New Orleans, just kind of sit there, and a tornado warning as well. And this thing dumped and dumped and dumped rain. We have video of people even riding a bike through floodwaters. I mean, a lot of rain going on here, a lot of flooding. 6 to 9 inches of water fell from the sky in 3 hours. 3 hours we had that type of rain. That overwhelmed the pumping, and massive flooding going on. Dozens of cars were stranded. Backups on the highway because people could not exit because cars were stuck, and people were trying to do what they're supposed to, don't drive through floodwater, so they were stuck there. It was a nightmare of a commute across the city. The same day that thousands of people were coming into town for conventions. People try to leave town for conventions, even vacation as well. It was a very hectic and harrowing scene to get here. And then we have Barry and the forecast for Barry. Just keep kind of zoning in on New Orleans being impacted by some very, very heavy rain. And I tell you what, they've been preparing for that as well because they saw the flooding going to happen. They were giving out sandbags. People who were flooded on Wednesday, even Canal Street, which is not too far from where we're standing right now, had businesses that were flooded. So they were preparing for what Barry could bring by putting up sandbags in front of their businesses. And also Bourbon Street, a live shot of Bourbon Street right now. It's Friday night. It's Friday night at what, 11, almost 11:22 in the evening. And there's just a handful of people out there when there should be just a handful of empty spots on the street. So people are taking this seriously. I think what happened Wednesday kind of set the tone as Barry is approaching of how vulnerable this city is. And yes, we remember back 14 years ago to Katrina, but that was at a time, Category 3 hurricane. Didn't hit as a Cat 3, and in fact, it didn't hit New Orleans directly. They had indirect impacts that devastated this city. So now you're just talking about a tropical storm. I think that the rain really woke people up of some of the impacts that really could hit this city, and I think it was kind of a good thing. Wednesday's rain and flooding I think it was a very timely wake-up call to residents and visitors alike about how vulnerable this area is with rainfall, and now we're hoping for the best as we await the approach of Tropical Storm Barry. Carl?
Well, what's so interesting about that is you're talking about 6 to 9 inches of rain, and we could very well get 6 to 9 inches out of this tropical storm. But if that were to happen over a longer period of time, if you were to get that, for example, over 18 or 24 hours, well, it might not be as big a problem there in New Orleans. The rainfall rates are really what the problem is there in New Orleans.
Correct, because the pumps work in terms of how heavy the rainfall is. They can get rid of 1 inch of rain in the first hour that it starts raining. And then after that, it's a half inch of rain every hour. So, for a whole day, they can deal with, 11 and a half inches of rain, no problem, no flooding. Again, that's assuming that the 120 pumps are all operating and working. And same conditions a little farther west in Jefferson Parish. They have pumps also work at the same rate of reducing that rainfall from flooding the area. But if the pumps break down, and these are machines, so they do break down, or if the rainfall rate is even higher than that, Carl, that's when they come into problems. And, the example is what happened on Wednesday. 6 to 9 inches in 3 hours. There's a weather station right there at the Superdome, and they picked up 6.24 in 3 hours. And that kind of shows you what happened there. And then when I got into that area hours later, there were still cars stranded and abandoned in the road there because that was one of the areas that had massive flooding because of that rainfall.
All right, Paul, thank you so much. Really appreciate your reporting out there. And very quickly want to show you what the models are showing us right now. And this is the European model rainfall. And it is actually showing that the bullseye, as we call it, the heaviest rain, could be west of New Orleans if it were to happen exactly like that. But then you look at the American model, and it's still a little farther east and very, very close to New Orleans. So there's still an array of possibilities at this point. We're going to have much more on Barry coming up on the other side of the break.
Thanks for the ride along, Captain. I've never been in one of these before, even though Geico has been... Oh, here we go.
You got cut off there. What were you saying?
Oh, no.
Maybe the Geico's been proudly serving the military for over 75 years? Is that what you wanted to say?
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, you seem a lot chattier on TV.
Geico, proudly serving the military for over 75 years.
You okay back there, buddy?
Every day, millions of people looking for healthy skin reach for Cetaphil, recommended by dermatologists, awarded by Allure, and most of all, loved by skin. Cetaphil, the cleanser sensitive skin loves.
If you live with diabetes, why fingerstick when you can scan? With the Freestyle Libre 14-day system, just scan the sensor with your reader, iPhone, or Android and manage your diabetes. With the Freestyle Libre 14-day system, a continuous glucose monitor, you can check your glucose levels anytime without fingersticks. Ask your doctor to write a prescription for the Freestyle Libre 14-day system. You can do it without fingersticks. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
Think all premium fuels are the same? New Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline is engineered with 4 levels of defense against gunk, wear, corrosion, and friction. That helps keep your engine running like new. So maybe it's time to unthink what you think about premium fuel. Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline. It's fuel for thought.
Yes, I'm doing it all. The water, the exercise, the fiber. Month after month, and I still have belly pain and recurring constipation. So I asked my doctor what else I could do. And I said yes to Linzess.
Linzess treats adults with IBS with constipation or chronic constipation. Linzess is not a laxative. It works differently. It helps relieve belly pain and lets you have more frequent and complete bowel movements. Do not give Linzess to children less than 6, and it should not be given to children 6 to less than 18. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling.
I'm still doing it all. The water, the exercise, the fiber, and I said yes to Linzess for help with belly pain and recurring constipation. Ask your doctor.
At Domino's, we're more than just pizza for $5.99. We're $5.99 bread twists, $5.99 sandwiches, $5.99 pastas, $5.99 chicken, and yes, $5.99 pizza too. We didn't stop at pizza, and you don't have to either.
Life doesn't give you many second chances. But a Subaru can.
You guys okay? You all right?
Eyesight with pre-collision braking. Standard on the Subaru Ascent. Presenting the 3-row Subaru Ascent. Love is now bigger than ever.
All eyes on me.
Cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for peak refreshment. The world's most refreshing beer, Coors Light.
We have new incredible video to show you of the storm surge that is already on shore here in Golden Meadow, Louisiana. That is one of the barrier islands well south of New Orleans. There you can see the force of the wind just pushing that water. And up and over the road, there's some mailboxes. It's as high as the middle of the mailbox. And then you can also see it's just covering up the road. And the wind is really starting to increase as well. We've had some gusts down towards the coast of more than just over 60 miles an hour. And again, a tremendous amount of rise in the water as those strong winds are starting to push it up into Golden Meadow and across much of the barrier islands. The storm surge from in this region is going to be pretty strong. Anywhere from 3 to 6 feet can be expected during the height of this storm. Well, thank you so much for staying with us for our extended live coverage of Tropical Storm Barry. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Lopez in the lab tonight with our storm specialist Carl Parker. Frontier, JetBlue, and Southwest Airlines have canceled all the flights going in and out of New Orleans for tomorrow. And this number keeps going up. About 30,000 customers are without power in the state of Louisiana. New Orleans officials are telling residents to just stay in place, stay inside tonight as we see that rain starting to pick up and the wind starting to increase as well. Let's take you into New Orleans, and that is where we find Paul Goodlow. And throughout your coverage, Paul, you've had some rain, and then you've had a break. At times, you could even see the sky above and see some planets, you were saying.
Right, Jupiter out tonight, to the left of the moon. I can kind of see the moon right now, but one thing that has been constant, Jen, has been the wind. It's been very breezy at times, strong gust, 30, 40 miles per hour. I think that's the reason why we're seeing the power outage numbers go up, because the wind continues to increase and spread across the region. And in some areas, the rain does as well. Looking at the radar, areas west of here across Jefferson Parish, we're seeing some intense rainfall right now with some bands coming on through here. We're seeing a little bit of light rain here in New Orleans, but we do know that heavier rain is on the way. And I tell you what, you mentioned some of the airlines not operating tomorrow. There were hundreds of people, if not thousands, trying to get out of town today. The Delta Sigma Theta sorority cut their convention short, and I have college friends who are in town for that, and they got on planes and got out of town this evening because of the approach of Barry. There are no mandatory evacuations, but they were doing everything they can do to prepare. They were closing the floodgates to protect against the Mississippi River flooding and topping its the levees there against the water from Lake Pontchartrain from coming into some of the areas as well. So this city is no stranger to tropical storms and hurricanes or flooding from both the rivers, the lakes, as well as rain coming from the sky as well. So that's a big concern. The mayor asked everyone to stay off the road starting at and even off the streets starting at 8 o'clock tonight. A lot of people have heeded that advice, and just looking at the streets, every now and then I might see a car or two pass, and some of those could be first responders, but most people are heeding that. We have a live look at Bourbon Street, and that shows you just this is not a typical Saturday or a Friday night in New Orleans in the summer. Weather temperature's nice, but it certainly is windy, and we do know the rain is on the horizon as well. So people seem to be heeding the advice, and that's a good thing. You want to keep people out of harm's way, especially in a city that is so vulnerable to flooding. I think good news with the Mississippi River, the crest forecast has been revised downward from 20 to 19, now down to 17.2 feet, and the actual current river level is about close to 17 right now. So that is some good news, as we still know there's a lot more water to come as Tropical Storm Barry is moving this way. Carl?
All right, Paul, right now we're looking at a 65-mile-per-hour tropical storm, and I'll tell you, the satellite presentation has really improved here in the last few hours. This thing is definitely becoming more organized. The center of circulation is just offshore, right in there, and you see this big burst of convection or thunderstorms near that center and farther south. So it's starting to fend off the stronger winds that have been making it more disorganized, and it looks like it's finally starting to get its act together a little bit more. It could very well become a hurricane before it moves in. Not seeing a whole lot of rain right now. Most of that is still offshore, but we think that is really going to change during the day tomorrow. And this is one model depiction of that. You see this huge area of heavy rain coming into southeast Louisiana, and then it doesn't change much at all. So all of those impacts, the heavy rain, the wind, the storm surge, that goes on for hours. Much more on this coming up.
This is the story of John Smith. Not this John Smith, or this John Smith, or any of the other hundreds of John Smiths that are Humana Medicare Advantage members. No, it's this John Smith, who we paired with a Humana team member to help address his own specific health needs. At Humana, we take a personal approach to your health to provide care that's just as unique as you are, no matter what your name is. Let's all experience something together. This beer, so pure you can taste it. Michelob Ultra Pure Gold. Beer in its organic form.
I switched from Dodge.
We switched from Ford.
I switched from Ram. I switched to Chevy.
We switched to Chevy. We switched to Chevy.
For dependability.
For these guys.
And just look at it.
We switched to Chevy.
See for yourself why people are switching at the Chevy All-Star Open House. Get 20% below MSRP on all 2019 Silverado double cab pickups. That's over $97.50 on this Silverado. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
To look at me now, you don't see psoriasis. You see clear skin.
You see me.
But if you saw me before Cosentix,
I was covered. It was awful.
but I didn't give up. I kept fighting.
I got clear skin with Cosentix.
3 years and counting. Clear skin can last.
See if Cosentix could make a difference for you. Cosentix is proven to help people with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis find clear skin that can last. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentix. Before starting Cosentix, you should be checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, or if you've received a vaccine or plan to. If you have inflammatory bowel disease, tell your doctor if symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions may occur.
See me now. I'm still clear.
How sexy are these elbows?
Get clear skin that can last. Ask your dermatologist about Cosentix.
We're Oscar Mayer Deli Fresh, and you may know us from your very first sandwich. Your mammoth masterpiece, and whatever this was. Because we make our meat with the good of the deli and no artificial preservatives. Make every sandwich count with Oscar Mayer Deli Fresh.
Now you can make any morning of the week feel like the weekend with Jimmy Dean Simple Scrambles. Made fresh with 2 real eggs, sausage, and cheese. And ready in seconds.
Why don't you put a Sunday morning shine on tomorrow morning's breakfast?
At Domino's, delivery is kind of our thing. We even made a car for it. So when you get pizza, stuffed cheesy bread, or any of the other mix and match items delivered for just $5.99 each, you can trust we'll do our thing to get you your things. Because we know a thing or two about delivery at Domino's.
How pure can pure be? Our 12-step process provides 100% pure quality water. Look for kids packs from Nestle Pure Life. Fun designs and a perfect size just for your kids.
I want to give you the latest information on Tropical Storm Barry, the center of circulation just offshore of Morgan City in Louisiana. So it's just off the coast of Louisiana. The winds are still at 65 miles an hour. It is still moving in a west-northwest movement, but it has slowed down just about 3 miles an hour. Look at the satellite picture. You see all those deep reds and purples? That indicates the high cloud tops that we're seeing. And it's still out over the water, so we're expecting all of that moisture to move northward once the center of circulation does make landfall, and that should happen by tomorrow. So tomorrow is going to be the day when all of this comes into much of Louisiana, much of Mississippi, expecting that rain to push through. And it could actually get a little bit stronger here and upgrade, and it could reach up to a hurricane status just before landfall, with winds perhaps up to around 75 miles an hour. And then notice by Sunday morning, it's just up there around Monroe, Louisiana. It is expected a weekend, but still that rainfall is going to be with it as we go through the weekend. Officials, meanwhile, in Louisiana have been really stressing all day long the specific danger that heavy rain and flash flooding pose.
Those bands of rain can flood anywhere in a matter of hours. We saw that in New Orleans the other day. Those heavy rains, if they sit over an isolated area, it'll be several feet of water, and we've lost life in cars because of that, because it'll flood one area quickly and you don't have a chance to get out.
So let's talk a little bit more about the heavy rainfall that we are anticipating and everything else that's going to come in with this tropical storm. Again, there's the projected path of it, taking, again, just the center of the circulation would be pushing up into Louisiana, continuing up into Arkansas. But away from the center, we're still going to feel the impacts of it. This is again, the center right here, the projected path. But notice that center doesn't even go over Mississippi. And Jackson, you could be hit with 3-5 inches, maybe up to 8 inches of rainfall in western Mississippi. And even into New Orleans, you may not get a direct hit from this, but we are anticipating a lot of rain from it, well away from the center of circulation. And we've had a ton of rain from tropical cyclones in this area. Again, numerous ones with more than 30 inches of rain across the state of Alabama, Louisiana, and Mississippi. This is a look at the radar, and as we go through the night, we're going to see that rain come in. But then by tomorrow is when we really expect the bulk of it to push up into southern Louisiana, and then throughout the afternoon and tomorrow night and on Sunday, continuing to move northward up into northern Louisiana. So with all this rain, we are likely to have all kinds of problems, and flash flooding is just one of the big ones that we're really worried about. The areas in red, that includes Baton Rouge, and it also includes Monroe and over towards Houma for the threat of flash flooding. And about 10,000 people in Plaquemines Parish in Louisiana's low-lying southeastern tip have been ordered to evacuate. And even though many residents have seen what can happen when massive flooding hits this parish, some of them have decided to stay and take their chances.
Though Tropical Storm Barry is not supposed to hit land until sometime Saturday morning, you could see the outer bands beginning to make their way here into Plaquemines Parish, which is south of New Orleans. It's the finger of Louisiana, and this is a mandatory evacuation here. You see, this is the Mississippi River splashing up. This levee here, not too far until this water hits the top. That's the fear for so many residents, that this water will go over the levee and go into their homes and flood roads. Many people who just decided yesterday not to leave are now packing up and going.
The lever is right there.
Miriam Hemlock lives just feet from the Mississippi River and wasn't going to follow the mandatory evacuations.
Look at the water.
Until she walked up on the levee this morning and saw this.
The river is too high, and it's very dangerous, and we're scared we get flooding.
Down the road in Myrtle Grove, the Army National Guard and prison inmates are building sandbag walls in case water rises on Barataria Bay. Charles Belay is one of the owners of the marina here and has concerns.
I guess the uncertainty of how bad it may be, if it may intensify.
With sustained winds picking up and an expected epic drenching of the region, Belay still thinks Plaquemines Parish won't get the brunt of Barry.
It just depends how high the water might come up. I think we believe the winds will not get that bad. You still could have some damage to rooftops and tarps and things, patio covers and all, but I don't see a lot of extensive damage in this area.
Mailwoman Lauren Richardson wrapped up her shift on Friday. She and her family have decided to stay, but
if it gets worse, I mean, I'm not afraid to jump ship and take off, so, but we're not planning to right now.
For Miriam Hemlock, who did not evacuate during Hurricane Katrina 14 years ago and lost vehicles and her home, the risk is just too heavy.
I don't want to take chances this time.
In Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, Robert Ray, The Weather Channel.
Yes, the rain and the storm surge from Tropical Storm Barry could pose serious problems for millions of people living along the Gulf Coast. All right, stay with us. We'll have much more on the threat of the storm surge. We've already have it here across Louisiana.
With the Capital One Venture Card, you'll earn unlimited double miles on every purchase every day, not just airline purchases. Think about all the double miles you could be earning.
Holy moly, that's a lot of miles!
Shh.
What's in your wallet?
Discover new San Pellegrino Essenza, a twist of Mediterranean flavors with the gentle bubbles of San Pellegrino. Add a twist of flavor. San Pellegrino Essenza, tastefully Italian.
At Domino's, delivery is kind of our thing. We even made a car for it. So when you get pizza, stuffed cheesy bread, or any of the other mix and match items delivered for just $5.99 each, you can trust we'll do our thing to get you your things. Because we know a thing or two about delivery at Domino's.
There were ants everywhere, thousands of them. And the problem was too big for us, but not for Orkin. And Sarah, she's organized, she's meticulous, she's like a part of the family.
And she can do backflips on the trampoline.
Wow.
I'm Jimmy Dean, and I wish I could tell you how I feel about a morning like this. And that includes a good hearty breakfast. You need something to kind of warm the whole body up and get it going. It's a great way to kick off your day.
When I am helping a customer, I need to treat everybody the way I would want them to treat my family. I want them to know that I really want to help you. That's what I'm here for.
Fixed right, priced right, right on time. The triple promise, only at Firestone Complete Auto Care.
Well, it finally happened, Zachary. Somebody burned down my she shed.
The she shed was struck by lightning.
Is my she shed covered by State Farm?
Your she shed's covered, Cheryl.
That's wonderful news.
Home insurance trusted by more people than any other. State Farm.
So now, Dish has over 80,000 on-demand movies and shows. 80,000. Why? I mean, it would take you years to get through 80,000. Thing is, it's not about 80,000. It's about one. That one movie you saw that one time on a first date with that one girl. That's why.
Dish. Tuned in to you.
We got one of those new purple mattresses, and it is amazing. You have to try it.
Oh, this doesn't feel like memory foam.
No.
This feels amazing.
Right?
What is it?
Action. It's called Purple.
And is your dog. He needs a walk while you're out with friends today. That's where WAG comes in. WAG lets you book a dog walker whenever you need. This is Antonio. He's great with dogs.
I've been walking dogs for 2 years now.
Plus, he's been vetted by WAG and knows his stuff.
When meeting a new dog, I always make sure they warm up to me first.
Antonio knows how to give your dog a great walk, and he fills you in on all the details. That's why you use WAG, because of great walkers like Antonio. Get your first walk free when you download the app now.
This is epic! You're watching America's most trusted TV news network.
We've got severe weather threat.
We are live on the ground. Right now, it's coming down.
The Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 76 degrees under clear skies. Overnight, generally clear skies, low 72. Winds northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Saturday, a mainly sunny sky, high 89. Winds west-northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Saturday night. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Barry is a very slow-moving and strengthening storm. Hurricane warnings are up, and both wind and water will be life-threatening hazards at the coast and inland. Torrential rains could flood entire communities near the coast and eventually hundreds of miles inland for days after landfall. To stay alive, stay out of the water. Don't drive onto any water-covered roads. Turn around. Don't drown. If you're trapped in your home by floodwaters, call 911 and stay out of storm surge by evacuating as instructed by local officials. And watch out for falling trees, which can take out power as strong winds move across areas where the soil is already saturated. Don't underestimate this storm. That could be a deadly mistake. Let's get ready, stay dry, and live to help one another through the aftermath of whatever comes our way.
Good advice from our hurricane expert, Dr. Rick Knabb there, also former director of the Hurricane Center. So, again, you want to just ride this one out in a safe place. That's what the mayor of New Orleans also said. Welcome back to Tracking Barry. Meteorologist Paul Goodler. We're live in New Orleans, where the rain has stopped temporarily, but the wind has not. Our power outage numbers are now creeping north of